pad. I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juices pumping, boys. All right. Welcome into Crunch Time Sports. My name is Booner. Jeff is not here. Lukas Klotz right there. Listen.
My name is Lukas Klotz.
The show waits for no man, including Jeff Iafrate.
Next man up, Boone.
Yeah, we're off and rolling. I honestly, this is a situation a couple weeks ago with you, Klotz, to where I feel like Jeff might have fallen asleep. I know I talked to him a couple hours ago, and the man was going. He said, "I'm going for a run." See you at the show. I said, "All right, brother."
Come on,
I don't know. I don't know if
crash.
Yeah, I don't know if he's running and
shout out to him.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. Hopefully, knock on wood, the man didn't get like kidnapped or something on his run. That would be kind of insane, wouldn't it?
Tongue might be freaked out.
Yeah, that'd be tough. Do I sound weird? My headset sounds weird. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. You guys know me and my thing. I'm always struggling trying to figure this thing out over here. All right, yeah, check. 1 2 2 3 3 2 1 7 5 4
10 for
2
copy.
1.
You're good.
All right,
You're
good. Welcome into the show, Crunch Time Sports. We do have a packed show because the Doc's pulling up to the show tonight at 8:45, and I'm pumped up to hear about that. Hear about what's going on with the Doc. Honestly, since last week, there has been some news, but not like any big breaking news. I think the Za'Darius stuff is the biggest. So I'm excited to hear the Doc's take on Za'Darius. You know what? Me and Doc were pretty aligned with Za'Darius to where Doc's like he's going to sign around training camp. I'm like he's going to be aligned as well, sign around training camp. So we're going to get that from the Doc. We do have some Detroit Tigers breaking news here. We'll talk about in just a minute. Jared Goff, Jamo. There was a reporter, Klotz, that said the Lions aren't going to make the playoffs, so we'll give our opinions on that. And then I think the biggest segment that we have outside of the Doc, surprise player to get cut from the Detroit Lions during training camp.
Yeah, tough one. I was looking at it, and I'm still fighting between a couple guys for it. Yeah,
it is a tough. Like last year, I told you before the show, there was something about it where I had a feeling about the James Houston thing.
Yeah.
And I think you might kind of remember, and shout out the chat. I think the chat was telling me like, no, Booner, there's no way he had this many sacks. It was like, it felt like that was going to be a situation that came about to where coming off a major injury. I don't know. Like last year, I felt pretty confident about the James Houston one. I'm looking at the roster. I don't know if I picked a guy. I think everyone would agree he's going to be cut, and I don't know if it's a surprise, but it is a player where a lot of people hyped up. And then it's kind of fallen off. So I'm excited to hear who you have. Yeah. I'm actually interested. I wish we could.
The one because it's going to be one of those things where I don't necessarily think that it happens again. It's a surprise, but I don't think like anyone's going to like it. Like I wouldn't like if it happened, but if we're doing surprise cut, it's for one reason, and we'll get into it. But
Klotz,
I don't know. I hope not.
It's like if you say Taylor Decker, let's just
no.
Okay, I'm just making sure. I'm just making sure here. That's all. Let's do this. Let's start it off here. Again. Oh, wait, we got a text from Jeff.
He's alive. That's good to know. He is up.
He said he's coming. He had some family issues. Okay. That's it. Family issues. Hey, people go through some family stuff. We ride. Yeah, we ride. Shout out to Jeff. Breaking news though, and if you're just coming into the show right now and you didn't see this breaking news, this is massive. Like, Klotz, I remember yesterday we had Rajan, and what's the one thing I've been saying about this Detroit Tigers team, is if they have all of those top 4 pitchers, really 5 with Casey Mize, but if those 4 guys that were dominating, it felt like if they have that rotation of those 5 guys that they're going to go win a World Series, there is now a chink in the armor. It is not going to happen, and you're not now. Things change at the trade deadline. The Detroit Tigers have announced. Well, Evan Petzold put it out there. The Tigers also announced it. They put it out on the during the game. They announced it as well. Detroit Tigers starting pitcher Jackson Jobe will officially undergo Tommy John surgery and miss the remainder of the 2025 season. That is heartbreaking.
Tough.
It is heartbreaking. I'm going to tell you what. That one, when I saw that, Klotz, I keep saying
You've
Jeff
been hyping him up, like when him coming back healthy. How
Klotz,
important that is?
How, dude, him and Reese Olson, I said Jackson Jobe, Reese Olson, you get him back in the building, you win a World Series. This right here really puts a damper into my parade. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm going to be prayers up to him, by the way. Hopefully it's a speedy recovery. It's probably going to be a year, obviously.
Yeah.
Hopefully at some point next year, you get to see him back on the mound for the Detroit Tigers. But we know what Tommy John is, man. It's quicker nowadays, but it's a big injury, man.
It's like what a torn ACL used to be in baseball terms. But I'm with you, Boone. It's I wouldn't say devastating, but it's definitely, I think when you said a chink in the armor, like that's a great way to put it, because pitching for this team is their identity. Like they have great bats. Like it wasn't the case last year, but this year in 2025, you look at Kerry Carpenter, Javi, Riley Green, Torque, even Dingler, like they have the bats. But when you're going up against the Yankees, because I still think even with Jackson Jobe being out for the season, that the Tigers are still the best team in the AL. And I understand that hurts losing Jobe. But if you go out there and you're aggressive at this deadline and you get another guy to bring in, shout out to Nick, I think a great one is Chapman. But if you're able to bring somebody like that in, doesn't necessarily has to be an absolute ace. But you're losing a lot in Jackson Jobe potentially, especially when the season goes on. He was going to get better and better and better. So if you can get another pitcher in there to just kind of put a patch on the wound here, I still think you can go head-to-head with the Yankees and win the AL. But now when you're talking about going up against possibly the Padres or the Dodgers, not having 4 solid pitchers, it's going to hurt if you don't go out there and get somebody. So this makes it even more urgent at the deadline to make a move.
Yeah, I just think now at this point, I think the Tigers needed to add some type of pitching, whether it was bullpen or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, now you're kind of for Scott Harris, and he did go on 97.1 today, and he brought up, hey, whatever we need, we will go get. And it seems like, and I'm not going to say urgency, but the way it sounded was more so like, hey, we are going to make a run at this thing, and we're going to make moves at the deadline, which in the past they were pretty cautious on giving up assets and giving up younger guys, because they were like, hey, whatever happens, because obviously last year at this time they weren't even close to contending. So it's a year difference makes a lot. But now you now lost one of your starting pitchers, probably your fourth best, third best pitcher on this staff, and you need to go get another one at the end of the day. You need to go find another pitcher. I don't know I was actually talking to my cousin about it. Like, do you need to go out and get another starting caliber pitcher to add into this rotation?
You're good. The audio monster got booed.
Can you hear me, Klotz?
You're all good. You're back, Boone.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry, I hit my wire and it all disconnects. But no, yeah, you need to go get another pitcher. You saw last year the Dodgers went and got Jack Flaherty from the Tigers. They go and get a pitcher to add to that rotation. So I think the Tigers need to do the same exact thing. You need to go get probably a big time right-handed bat, and you need to go get a starting pitcher, and you need to make multiple moves now. So it does suck because you wouldn't have to do that if you had Jackson Jobe. But that's just what it is. So hopefully they get the job done. We should probably have Raj on here in the next, or maybe we'll have Raj or Chris. Maybe we'll have Chris come on at some point this week and kind of get a little feel for how a replacement. Maybe I would like to hear some people with some different names, specifically starting pitchers that might be on the trade market. And it's not until, we probably have, I think, another month until the deadline. So, yeah, I mean, it's just brutal news though, at the end of the day, man. It is, that's heartbreaking news.
But it's even more important for the fact that they started off as hot as they did, because they're still like, do you still like that doesn't derail them from being the team in the AL, in my opinion.
No, I mean, they've been winning without Jackson Jobe. Obviously, like that just makes you that much better. The one thing I take away from a lot of this with the Tigers is last year they didn't really have that full pitching staff, especially after the trade deadline. They traded Jack Flaherty, and they just did the pitching chaos the whole time. Like it was just like, hey, you had your main starters, but really outside of that, it was just bullpen and it was just pitching chaos. And that was how they won. So if you end up having your 4 starters and then another night you have to end up going pitching chaos out of that, like, I don't think that's a big deal at all. I really don't. I think that's something that this Tigers team kind of thrives under. Obviously, having a legit starter would be way more beneficial, though. I still think they can win the World Series without Jackson Jobe.
I still think, again, I think they're kind of in the same status that they were before. Like, I think you made a good point when saying that Jackson Jobe, he makes that team this much better, but they're already that good. I don't think they're ready to overtake the Dodgers coming out of the NL. Even if there's a team that can't take off the Dodgers, I think that says enough about that team. Where Tigers, I understand that they weren't supposed to be where they were last year and over exceeded, and they were in the playoffs, won a series, but I think it's a different scenario for sure to be in the World Series and go up against the LA Dodgers, a team out of the NL. But I think that for sure they can get out of the AL and win that.
Yeah. Hey, Klotz, if they get out of the AL, they can win it all.
There's a chance. Technically. What are we saying here with a 5 to 10% chance in my mind?
Hey, so if they get out, Klotz, they can win it all. I'm telling you now. I want to pull
technicalities. I guess you're correct.
Yeah, no, that's why I think it's like, hey, if you get in the dance, you can win the dance. That's how I look at it. In football and basketball, outside the Pistons, we knew they weren't going to win. But most of the time, in most scenarios, if you're competing to go to the finals, I think you have a chance to win.
You're being optimistic about it. Absolutely.
Yeah. By the way, I think last I checked, they were losing. What's the score? They're down 2-1, top of the 7th right now. So they're in an absolute battle right now. Dylan Dingler up to bat. All right. I want to switch it here because we have the Doc coming on. So we're going to talk some Tigers with him, but we'll probably talk mostly Lions with him because the Za'Darius stuff, all these different things going on. Can I just bring this up real quick? I know we have a couple different segments before the Doc. I saw this tweet today, Klotz. Listen, this is going to be a trend with me and you for the next, what month are we in? June. For the next 8 months until the Super Bowl is over, your shtick of Sam Laporta being the second leading receiver on this team, I will never, and you know this, and I'll move on after the season, but during the season, I will not let you live down that. And this popped up on my timeline today. Jameson Williams. This is per Tim 20-man. This is a guy that's in the building every day, right? This is a guy that's works for the Lions. Jameson Williams, in quotes, really seems to be on the same page with Jared Goff during the difficult throws and catches this offseason, per Tim 20-man. Lukas Klotz, I want to tell you something.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how this sways. And
this guy already was making plays with Jared Goff, just being wide open. Now you're telling me, even if he doesn't create separation and he's not wide open, that Jared's just saying, get this man the rock. Get it to Jamo at all means necessary. Like the fact that he's throwing difficult throws and catches that he might not be open, but he's getting those balls to him. The fact that he's even throwing those to me shows that Goff is like, I want this man's going to have a year. I'm sorry, Klotz. I'm sorry. And I'm not going to let you live this one down because this is a big one. It's a big call.
And I understand it. And I think that Jamo can still make these type of plays. It just goes back to this offense. I think there is going to be something to be said about losing Kevin Zeitler and Frank Ragnow. And I think that will require, not saying you can't take deep shots. It's not what I'm saying. But you're obviously going to be paying attention to Jameson Williams. And he's going to get his. But I do think that Sam Laporta comes back completely healthy next year. And we see what he was in year one, close to it, and even better. I think this year 3 from Sam Laporta, we're going to remember that, oh, yeah, Sam Laporta's rookie season was an all-pro in the NFL. And I think that both of these guys can be close to 1,000, but I don't think there's going to be 3 1,000-yard wide receivers, or I shouldn't say wide receivers, pass catchers. And I think Laporta's going to have more receptions. And like I said, after the catch, he's lethal. Not saying that Jamo is not, but I just think Sam's going to get his. I think he gets over 1,000, and Jamo's going to be right under 1,000. But
yeah,
I'm going with the guy, the gold jacket guy, Boone.
Listen, I have to. This is the scenario you put me in as like a friend, and as someone who we do the show with and sports talk with. It's you put me in a scenario where Sam Laporta is going to have 800 or 900 yards minimum. I said I wouldn't be shocked if there's 3,000-yard pass catchers on it. I wouldn't be shocked personally. I think Sam Laporta is going to get that 900 number at least. So I'm saying the man's going to be good, but there is a 0% chance. I'll say 1% chance, knock on wood, if injury, that Jamo gets under 1,000.
For either case, I think it vetoes.
But there's no chance Jamo gets under 1,000 after having 1,000 last year. And all of the signs and all the reports are pointing Jamo's gotten better connection with Goff. Everything about this guy and his quarterback is that much better, and he already had 1,000. Listen, the only reason I can't let you live this down, typically, I would just say, like, yeah, I don't want to call out your bad takes. If it did happen that Sam Laporta had more than Jamo, we wouldn't hear the end of it. So I have to do.
I mean, it's.
I have to do my due diligence. I have to do my due diligence on the other side.
But it'll be to a degree that I don't think you'll go to. But it'll be
no. I won't do a degree. I'm just going to make sure that it's known throughout the year. Just like if Sam Laporta is beating Jamo in yards throughout the year, I know you're going to kind of look at me every catch. You're going to look.
That's fair. That's fair.
I'm going to have to do the same. I just want that on record so people aren't like.
My thing is just this too. I think Jamo is going to have more 100-yard games, but I think that Jameson Williams, given his play style, given that he's going to be the wide receiver too, and I think that there's going to be games where Jamo is going to go for 100. And then the next week, he's going to go for 30. And maybe he'll get a touchdown in that 30-yard game. But I think Sam Laporta is just going to be a steady 50, 50, 60. Oh, here's a 90-yard game, 50, 50. I just think he's going to be a steady factor. I just like Laporta's consistency, and I think he's going to take his game to the next level.
All right. Yeah, there's that.
Come on.
I can't do it. I can't wrap my head around it, if I'm just being honest. I do want to bring this up.
Moon. George Kittle.
What about him?
George Kittle has led his team in receiving multiple times. I'm not saying he's going to do that, but he's second in receiving multiple times with Brandon Ayuk. Debo would be under him.
Yeah, but Brandon Ayuk, those guys are always injured, in and out, not playing. That whole
schmooses.
No, it's just that's
George
reality.
Kittle, baby.
We talk about reality here on my side of the boat. Phil, what Phil said, I don't even know what this word means. Lucas is not vindictive. I hope that's not a bad word, Klotz. I'm reading the comment.
Well, I mean, I'm going to go look up what vindictive means.
I think I understand what it means, but
vindictive. He's saying that I do not have a strong showing or unreasoned desire for revenge.
Agreed. Yeah. All right, let's pull up this. If we're talking about, because I saw an article today, and shout out to Doc, because the Doc did it. I think it might have been Christian that actually put it out and did the article, but it's on Detroit Lions on SI. I saw this article about an hour and a half ago, and it brought me back to something. It's good timing that I'm hosting right now because the Booner Path, everything aligns with this, Klotz.
You'll have your time.
It aligns with this. Couple weeks ago, the Booner Path came back and we talked about how national media is going to start kind of disrespecting the Detroit Lions, which we now know they are, and it's like continuing. And what did we say, Klotz? Like, this thing's going to grow. People are going to disrespect the Lions until week 1, not even week 1, until week 5 or 6, until they're 4-1 or 4-2, and they've finally proven, hey, we still can play football. Just because we lost coordinators, we still have a good football team and we still have a great head coach. This popped up on my screen today. An analysis believes the Detroit Lions missing the playoffs is a value bet. And I scrolled, and yes, this is Christian Boer. Shout out Christian. And I went down. I read the article, Doc, but this is what really got me here. Amidst all this adversity, along with a schedule loaded with high competition, NBC Sports' Drew Dinsick believes that betting the Lions to miss the playoffs at plus 200 carries good value. And then Klotz, the man goes on to say there are people that feel very strong that this is still a Super Bowl contending team. Mind you, it is Lukas Klotz. And then there are people like me, idiots. It doesn't say that in the article. That's me telling that he's an idiot, that think now is a time to sell the Detroit Lions as their make the playoff price is outrageously favorable. And I think the Lions to miss the playoffs is somewhat a value bet right now. Win total is 10.5. They're plus 120 to win the North, plus 450 to the NFC. Listen, I don't want to keep reading this guy's article because what's his name again? Where's he at? What's his name? What's this guy's name? Drew. You are now on the Pete Prisco train. I've added him to that Pete Prisco list. Drew Dinsick has zero clue what he's talking about. How would you say, hey, the team that's has the second best odds to win the NFC, Klotz, will miss the playoffs? What has that ever happened? Maybe it's happened.
I'm
Maybe
sure it's happened where a team has come in and
this is just the national media being like, we're hopping. This is like bullet board material. Hey, when you guys were hot, we hopped on your bandwagon. Now when a little adversity hits and we're going right back to the DJ, we're going to treat you like the same old line. That's what the media is doing right now at the end of the day. There's media that just sees the Lions and they think of SOL and they go right back to that. That to me gives me like a burning fire inside of me. Like I hate that with a passion, dude. It's like, this is not the same old Lions. Like, why are we reverting back to what happened 3 years ago and what's happened over the career in the line? Like, does that frustrates me, man? It really does. It feels like they don't even take in consideration the team and the roster and the coaches at all. Zero chance they do.
I just find it ironic, the switch of the conversation from a year ago, because I'll stick to my guns saying I don't think that the Lions will win the Super Bowl. But to say that they won't make the playoffs, I think is egregious. Last year, the same time, they were a top 2 to 3 team in Super Bowl winning odds. And I'm interested, what are they right now? But probably top 5, top 6?
They're fourth, I think. Fourth best odds.
Okay, so top 4. And then we're having a conversation where offensively you lose Frank Ragnow, correct. I think that hurts. Obviously, your coordinators, that hurts. But if you look at the Green Bay Packers and think that that's a better team than them, you're smoking crack. If you look at the Chicago Bears with Ben Johnson in year 1 and all the moving pieces of the young playmakers that they have, and you look at them and you think that they're better than Detroit Lions, you're smoking meth. And if you look at the Minnesota Vikings, who I think could be very good this year, I think they finished second in the division. But when you look at Dan Campbell over the last 3 years is undefeated against Kevin O'Connell, whichever quarterback he has out there. And that's while Justin Jefferson is going crazy. And now you have a rookie quarterback. We talk about all the time, Boone, where I'm concerned about the coordinators. I think J.J. McCarthy, Kelvin Shepard, that's an opportunity for Shepard to go out there and put on a masterclass. So if you're not smoking crack, if you're not smoking meth, if you think the Minnesota Vikings are going to win this division, I think you're taking a Xanax. It's crazy. The lights are going to be out for a little bit, but it's not as bad as the crack or the meth. But at the end of the day, you're on something that you shouldn't be if you do not think that the Detroit Lions are winning the NFC North and not making the playoffs. If there's no injuries, obviously if Jared Goff goes down or anything like that, but it's insane in my opinion to think that the Lions are going to miss the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think it's at the end of the day, I just think it's disrespectful. I think it's just honestly all it is, and we've talked about it a million times. I think a lot of these national writers, and there are people as well in the city that might write articles or are on there, this, that, who will use any chance they can to get clicks or get views and ratings up and say, hey, Lions aren't going to do this. They're not going to do this. And do they really believe it? No. But this is one of those guys nationally who they know, hey, if we say something bad, like, hey, my job is to get as many clicks on this article as I can. That's how I get paid. NBC Sports pays me to get people to our website. So you know what this guy did? Again, I forgot his name already. It's such a Drew. Say he's such a he's a nobody at this point to me. Drew Dinsick. This guy just wants clicks.
Yeah,
that's all he's doing it for.
At first, I thought it was Christian you were saying that was coming out with this. It's a value. No, I'm like Christian just trying to throw. He just took on a fire that's not even there. Yeah, in my opinion.
He just took the article and wrote something about it, which he does a great job. But like this Drew guy, I just think a lot of national media, they know that Lions fans are going to click. They're going to talk about it. We're talking about it. That seems to be kind of the underlying factor every time something like this comes up. But it's just like it was like Pete Prisco last offseason, or even like throughout the season. This guy just kept ranking the Detroit Lions so low. And then once you started seeing Lions fans react to it, that man was dropping them lower because he knew the lower he dropped them, the more fans and people are going to talk about his rankings, even though they were the worst in the world. And it's just like plus 200. Like if it was like plus like 600, plus 700, if it was like very low, okay. What about plus 200? Like, to put this in perspective real quick, What did he say? It's plus 200 for them to not miss the playoffs. It's plus 120 for them to win the NFC North. What is the better chances of winning? Plus 120 to win the NFC North, or them to miss the playoffs at plus 200?
The NFC North for sure.
It's essentially, it's close to the same value. We're talking then less than $1 apart. We're talking 75 cents different on the dollar. Like, what are you doing, like, Drew? Like, the value should be in the NFC North that they've won it 2 years in a row. The Green Bay Packers did nothing to get better. The Vikings have a rookie quarterback, essentially, and the Bears have a rookie head coach. Plus 120 is great value. Get it now before they take over in the season. They end up winning the division. And it's minus 5,000.
Yeah. I think there's more chance for the Bears to win the Super Bowl than for the Lions to miss the playoffs. Like the Lions, there would have to be so many things going wrong. Obviously, if you have injuries, it's for any team. But besides that, you'd have to have so much going wrong. You'd have to have Anthony Lynn type of play calling. You'd have to be looking at that defense, and you'd think that Jerry Jacobs, Kendall Vildor, and company are out there. Will Harris made his return. That's the type of things that would have to be. The Quara brothers are getting after the quarterback for this team to miss the playoffs.
That's a tough one, man. When I saw that, I was genuinely a little shocked about it. Phil said here, he says, I see the line starting a little slow. New staff, injured starters, rookie on the line, questions everywhere. Yeah, I don't think there's we all know going into this year, there are some questions here and there. But to miss the playoffs just feels a little ridiculous, especially after year 2, Dan Campbell. After having the worst roster in the NFL year 1, year 2, this man almost took them to the playoffs with a rebuilt roster with a bunch of rookies. And had what was it, 8 wins or 9 wins, and was 1 game away with the Packers of going to the playoffs.
Yeah,
or it was really the Seahawks.
It was a Seahawks
getting the win.
Something like that. Between the Seahawks and Rams, they won the game they needed to. That Panthers game is what just bit them in the ass.
The fact if Dan could take that team with all those rookies to the or essentially to the playoffs, 1 game out. You're telling me that this team, even with questionable coordinators, those were all essentially like Ben Johnson. That was his first full year as a coordinator. It just doesn't make much sense to me. All right, let's do this, and I want the chat to get involved in Klotz. I'm gonna have you go first.
All right.
I want to do, and I wrote 2 names down, and I don't want obviously. So we're gonna do. Who do we think? What is our surprise cut candidate for the Detroit Lions in training camp coming up? And I don't want it to be 4th string guys like Nate Lynn.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see Ian Kennelly. Shout out Ian Kennelly. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't want it to be guys like that. But they could still be, I think, in my opinion, all of the starters that we know who are going to make the team. I think 2nd, 3rd string guys, or if there's a story behind a guy, in my opinion, I think that's one. Last year, James Houston wasn't even a starter. And in my opinion, he wasn't 2nd string, but he was a 3rd string guy that had a story behind him. And everyone thought he was going to make the team, or half of the people did. The other half didn't. I'm interested to see what you have. Everyone drop it in the chat who you think the surprise cut candidate would be for the Detroit Lions. Klotz, I'll give you the floor here. What do we think? I got 2 names written down, too. I just want you to know.
Okay. I want to go into this saying that I do not want this to happen. But if we're talking about a surprise cut candidate who I would be genuinely shocked for and seeing what the reason could be, when I look at a guy like Khalif Raymond in the final year of his contract, and the reason I'm saying that is because, let's say, coming off an injury, he doesn't look 100% the same, and you draft a guy in Dominic Lovett, who you really like, Sione Vaki, who you really like, and both of those options are cheaper. If you put those contracts together, they're a quarter of what you're paying Khalif Raymond. And on the books right now, he's supposed to be having a cap hit around he's $6.95 million. And I just think you got a guy that can replace him in Dominic Lovett. Not saying I want this to happen, but for financial reasons, I know that they love him. And again, I don't think this would happen. I don't want this to happen, but I would not be shocked looking at the money there if they said, Leaf, you're the 4th, 5th string wide receiver. There's some guys that we have there. We're going to move on from you. I would hate it. I would hate it. I don't know. That was I'm trying to look at another reason why.
There's 0% chance.
When you look at this defensive line group, I don't think you could let anybody walk. in my opinion.
Yeah, no, there's guys on this team. I don't think starters. I'll tell you this: 0% chance that.
I don't know.
Khalif
I don't know who else would be like a surprise.
I got you here. It doesn't like surprise. Like it's really more so like I think when you do surprise candidates, like I don't think any starters. I look at Khalif as a not a high end role player because of his because of his return ability. I think he's a really good fourth wide receiver. I really do. And like you have Tesla in there, but you still need Tesla to kind of get his feet wet a little bit. You have Saint, Jamo, and then I would have to say.
Hey, don't forget about TP now.
Tim Patrick, but then Khalif and Tesla. And I think that's your 5 there. And if you want to have a 6, Dominic Lovett or Ronnie Bell. But to me, there's no chance Khalif doesn't make the roster. I don't think $6 million is that much for an all-pro returner. One of your best special teams players. And when guys get hurt offensively in that room, he has stepped up 100% of the time. So I would say no with him. I had 2 down, and again, they're not big-time players. They're not even close to Khalif. They've never started a game for the Lions. But I think both of them have storylines with the fans, and they have storylines with the teams. And they both were drafted over the last 2 years. And I want to get the exact draft here. Hold on a sec. Okay, I got it. The first one I have, a defensive tackle, 3rd round pick, Broderick Martin. I have Broderick Martin. It reminds me of the James Houston situation to where, except with James Houston showed you some, but going into that year 3 coming off an injury. I know Broderick's not coming off an injury, but he's essentially going through 2 years where you really haven't seen anything, and you were expecting improvement last year. And the biggest thing with me, Klotz, that like stands out, there were a million injuries on that D line last year, and you really didn't even see Broderick get run. Like that's to me what's the most disappointing part. It was where he's like, you were hoping that hey, even if there weren't injuries, you would see a little bit of Broderick, but then guys got hurt. And then Broderick still really wasn't getting that much play time. And you're like, okay, year 2, this is a 3rd round. This isn't like a 5th, 6th round guy. It's a 3rd round guy that you brought in. You would think by year 2 or 3rd round draft pick would give you something, or you could rely on him if there was injury. So I think Broderick I think he has to perform in training camp to make the roster, or else I don't think he makes the 53 man, especially like Ryan said in there. If Zadarius gets signed, he's in a tougher spot. Even AQM's in a tough spot. If Zadarius gets signed, the other one too, this one's not a big surprise, but it's another storyline type one. And I do want to make sure as well, I want to get his exact draft pick as well. Just so 152nd overall in the 5th round. I'm sure you can guess it, Klotzy.
Yeah.
Colby Sorsdale. I think that was my 2 on my sheet today. Colby and Broderick Martin. The thing with Colby is I just think there's too many. I think this is like the writings on the wall for the guy. They just drafted 2 guards, and I know one might move to center. They drafted a guard last year, Christian Mahogany. This year, Tate Ratledge, and I'm drawing a blank here.
Miles
Frazier as well. You have Yodi in there. Michael Neese, Kingsley, like you just had that room is too deep right now, and Colby's just found his way at the bottom of it. I think it's the point, in my opinion. And then Nick P said none of these guys are surprises. Listen, when we say surprise, like I said, I think it's just storylines, in my opinion. It has nothing like you're not going to see, and that's why I told you before the show, Klotz, you're not going to see a starter get cut. Like you're not going to see Khalif Raymond get cut. It's just unless there was an injury or something happened. You're not going to see it. It's just more so. And if people want like Nick P, DJ Reader, there's a 0% chance DJ Reader gets cut.
I was gonna say him.
You're not in a position right now.
With Aleem being hurt.
Yeah, I don't even if Aleem was healthy, I don't think DJ does. Like you have him for one more year.
More likely.
0% chance he's on a 1 year. He's on a 1 year deal. He's only on 1 year left.
Right,
you go to the Super Bowl.
You're looking around and you're like, DJ, we got you, or we got Levi on a 1 year deal too. We got Josh. We could slide inside. Pat O'Connor.
Genuinely, what's the point of cutting him though? Like you're not saving money for what though? You have $40 million. You have $40 million.
Go on the offensive line. You got to hang on to it. It's
there's literally. I'll tell you what. I'm telling you, but
I'm not saying it's
0% chance. Any of there. this year, if there's guys on a 1-year deal, they will not get cut. The cap casualty has nothing to do with
When
this
you're
year.
acting like I'm saying this is I'm playing kind of devil's advocate here. I'm
Yeah,
saying if this were to happen, that's why.
And Nick Pete, cap to turnover for 26. You have 40 million to turn over. You're trying to win a Super Bowl this year. Anything you can get, especially with the injuries we had last year, we need depth. You're not just cutting these guys. That's why I was like, all right, we put surprise and we talk about surprise. It's really just more so storylines, like names like Broderick Martin. Like to me, it's not a big player, but it's a 3rd-round pick 2 years ago. That's supposed to be a big rotation. To me, that's a surprise. If I told you 2 years ago, hey, Broderick Martin will be cut from the 53 man.
You're talking
2 years ago, though, I'm talking
guy,
about most guys. I'm not seeing. All right, most guys.
Lighten up here. Lighten up here. We're having a good combo. There's no.
Yeah, I hate when that happens, but it's all right.
What?
The Lions are a terrible cap position for next year, but again, they have 40 million this year. They don't need to cut. No one's going to get cut that you're going to be like, oh, it's a surprise.
I agree with you. That's why I was like, if I had to pick one, like that's why I hated saying the Khalif Raymond, but I was just like, I was thinking Leaf or DJ, and I'm picking Leaf just because of the position the defensive tackle room's in compared to the wide receiver. It's like, I don't think either happened. And not saying I want Khalif Raymond to be released at all. I agree with you. Probably one of. Not the best returner, but one of it. Devontae Turpin, the dog down in Dallas. Believe he's a special playmaker and reliable. So he makes plays. There's always those games where Amon-Ra's really not getting going. Sam Laporte is getting his 50 or 60, but here comes Khalif Raymond. He makes 2 big plays. One of them end up being a touchdown. So he's a timely vet. It's just, can he stay healthy? Which hopefully he can this year.
That's where, I don't know. I don't think there's going to be any big cuts. Like last year, the James Houston one.
Because was James Houston, was he during training camp he was cut?
I think it was after. He was one of the cuts during the 53. It might have been during the season. Yeah. I don't know. I just typically like on a contending roster, you don't see guys get cut like that. No. It's more so like, to me, I think when surprise that's realistic, I think it's more so like some of these guys you've drafted who have been fighting and haven't shown out. That's why I picked those 2 guys.
Yeah, again, I'm with you. I think both of them should be cut and most likely will be. Now, I wish them success after that, but as of right now, like they're just not this. To your point, this is a team that wants to win a Super Bowl this year. They have credible reason to be saying that, and those players just aren't making the cut. It's just they're just not good enough at this point.
Yeah, hold on.
Small school linemen don't always pan out.
Send the doc a link here, just so he has something. All right, I just sent over the doc a link. Yeah, a lot of people, if I'm being honest, some people are trying to push back at me for Broderick. A lot of the people were saying Broderick from the jump when I said drop your ones. I'm seeing a lot of Broderick, to be honest. Broderick.
Yeah,
Broderick or Hendon Hooker.
No problem with Broderick Martin being on this.
Yeah,
Hendon Hooker's another one, but then you bring in another quarterback, and
I see the reason I don't think he gets cut is I think he's just like the 3rd. If he loses that job, he's the 3rd guy because they're going to keep 3 most likely, and you get that. I think last year they kept 3, so I would think that that Hooker makes it, and if they don't keep him, and they keep Kyle Allen. Or they cut Kyle Allen.
Bring me Tyrod Taylor. Where's Tyrod at? Is he in New York?
I think he's been out in New York for a while. Let me look it up.
Give old Aaron Glenn.
No, he's with the Jets. Yeah, you're right.
Give old Aaron Glenn Hendon Hooker. God, I can't believe I'm blanking on the name. Tanner Angstrom. Give him Hendon Hooker. We'll take Tyrod. We can make that work. The red zone, throw him in there. Leave Jared Goff out on the sidelines if he's gassed. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Tyrod tush push.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Tyrod can come in and win you a game.
He's just so old now. How old is he? He's got to be almost 40.
Never had a big arm.
He's 35 years old.
He's only 35. He's not even that old then for
real.
He's like Geno Smith's age probably.
It feels like he's 40. See, I did think of the Taylor Decker one, but I think it's more realistic for Taylor Decker to stay for the year because you don't have another backup tackle. To stay for the year, I'm talking about starting caliber. and you can move on from him at the end of the year if he puts a back-to-back bad season up because you have an opt-out in his deal. That's why I didn't even think of Taylor Decker. I could go down the line here. I'm even looking at the depth chart now. None of the
especially
receivers.
Cutting Taylor Decker makes no sense.
Shane Zylster could be one because they got Kenny, your boy, now.
Are you being surprised though?
No, I think he actually got cut last year from the 53-man, and they brought him back to the practice squad. I'm pretty sure. Offensive line, I think it would just be Colby is like the big name. Defensively, Mackay, Wingo. I mean, those are Nate Lynn. Those guys are just practice squad guys or not Mackay. I'm talking about Mitchell Kude. I apologize. I read the wrong name. Mackay is going to be. He's
going to be a nice rotational piece. Man.
Isaac Ukwu. Trevor Nowaski better not get cut. We're going to have a problem.
That'd be a sad day. That'd be a sad day on crunch time. If that day ever comes, Boone, you got to have like a moment of silence, a tribute.
Yeah, I don't think he will.
Saginaw Valley State Cardinal.
I don't think he will. If I'm being honest.
Lifer, think like a Dan Skipper.
I would love it. There's going to be a point for sure, but I just hope. I think Nowaski's a good rotational piece. He's like that next man up in the linebacking room.
He impressed. He gave a lot more juice than I expected.
You guys last year were like, we're done with Nowaski, and then like he came up in games and he just produced. Do you remember? Like he was like the only one with like a sack and interception.
Against? Yeah,
I don't know.
Was it against the Packers? No, I don't think it was the Packers. Either way, it was in a game. I think maybe the Titans. But either way, for him to come up with an interception, man.
He was like the only linebacker at one point with a sack and an interception. He was the only one, and it was producing, man.
If Fanzo was healthy, it would have been him.
No, it would have been.
Not Jack Campbell. I can tell you that much.
Jack's better. It was versus the Titans that he got.
Better this year.
So we had the doc joining here any minute now. I sent the link to him, and he messaged back with a fire emoji. So it feels like he's going to be on some.
Just
feels
Doc,
like that.
Doc is usually a great guest, always a great guest.
And he just tweeted out.
There it goes. We're seeing in live action.
He said it's a riot, but for sports. Okay, I see what he did there. No politics on this show, but I see. Do you get it?
It's a ride.
A riot.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. Doc's gonna have something to say about that for sure.
Yeah, we're on a non-political show. I wish we had like a button that just like not mutes Doc, but like bleeps him out when he goes
like
to say
something. Strobe lights, like shocks him, like
yeah. Well, you know how like when someone like swears or something on national television, there's like that the beep.
Like how beep. Sean does it. Sean cracks me up when he has that.
I wish we had that for the Doc, so when we know he's saying so beep. That would be elite.
Doc is the best. So I always wonder what goes through Doc's mind, like after the show. Like once football's not on Doc's mind or sports in general, like what runs through Doc's mind?
I think he always has football in his mind. I don't know.
I definitely think more than just football goes on in Doc's mind.
Well, 100%. I think the Doc, I think he relates everything back to the game. You know what I mean?
He's like at a strip club.
Yeah.
I mean, which one pound for pound is a better prospect? Which way are you going to go? Always going back to it, compared to pitchers in a bullpen.
I think that's how the Doc, when he's looking at his watches, he's comparing them. Like, I wonder which one Dan Campbell would wear.
When you outed him for having the role,
that was Jeff. I want that on record. That was Jeff. And the Jeff kept going. I said, hey, you could get this man robbed. We don't need the Doc getting robbed. We don't need those problems. I don't
think Doc has to worry about that.
I think it's time. I see someone backstage. I think we're good to roll. Let me introduce the man himself, the undisputed champion of the world, Detroit Lions on SI, the best in the city, boys. John the Doc Maakaron has joined the show.
Fellas, why do we got to talk about crime?
He was expecting the horn.
Why do we got to talk about crime before the Doc comes in all the time? Detroit is on the rise. Crime in Macomb County, Wayne County's down. Everybody's happier, but it's crazy because I thought it was going to be a nice, relaxing chat about the Lions, but my goodness, some news broke. Lots to talk about. Truly, there is no offseason in the NFL. And then some news broke too today, which is devastating for the Tigers. So lots always to talk about. Fellas, hopefully you guys got a lot of energy too, because I'm ready to go. What do we got?
Doc, you know what? You look good today, Doc. It looks like you're pumped up, ready to go. What are you drinking over there? Are we allowed to ask you that?
Yeah, you can ask, guys. You guys know me. You can ask me whatever you want. Just a regular water, sparkling ice, cherry limeade. Yeah, I'm getting tanned. I'm outside. It seems like the other beat writers are taking it a little bit more easy than I am. I'm a workaholic. I like working. So the schedule slows down for most beat writers. But for me, I look at it like we're going to do features at Lions on SI. We're starting the all grit team, the all 21st century team, like the other sites are doing. And we're just having fun with it because I can't get away from it. I love Detroit sports, but the schedule slows down quite a bit. But man, I'm enjoying golf, the pool, and a mix of covering the Detroit Lions and doing interviews, man. So it's a good time for the doc. It's the kind of schedule I like. This is the good time. And the chat, light it up, hit the likes, ask whatever you want. Let's have a good time with it.
All right, Doc, I'll start off with this. The biggest news probably since we saw you last, Zadarius Smith was at the BET Awards. And it was shocking to me because it's kind of been what's going on with Zadarius. And then he puts out in there and the article comes out that he says, I want to be in Detroit. I want to be here. And then the next day a video comes out. Hey, Zadarius, when are you going to sign? Basically, he just says soon. It's going to happen soon. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think it gets done? I know me and you have been pretty lockstep on it, that he's wait until training camp or even kind of through training camp to get it done because he doesn't want to have to deal with all of that. What are your thoughts on that whole situation over the last 48 hours?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, let's get to the important matter outside of football. Cash Doll looked great. That was a 10 outfit.
Boone, you see what I'm saying?
You don't have to listen to him, Doc. Don't listen to him. You're talking. You're saying the real things.
Zadarius was trying to get kisses galore. He was like, yeah, I definitely am enjoying it. I do think the next phase, I'm still young in my 40s. Maybe by next year, I'll be in good shape. I'm going to rock what Zadarius rocked. Braids and nice leather chaps. And I'm going to rock that look. I think I could rock it out there and walk the red carpet like Zadarius.
I mean this with all respect. Do you have the hair for braids?
Yeah. I could do something similar that would represent the culture. So I could do it all, baby. I can make it happen. I can make people make me look what I need to look like. And it could be bald. It could be a look that just shocks everybody. I
hope you know that. That would be a terrifying sight.
I could shave DOC on the side of my head. I could do a lot of different things. We'll see. I could do the Aiden Hutchinson do-rag look like the chat wants. I could do a lot of different looks to represent Detroit and with buffs, maybe I enter into that era of life. We'll see. But I would say this. I would not be focused on football if I'm Zadarius. I thought what I said on the Lone Wolves podcast was, you're Zadarius Smith. Get into hip hop, get into acting, get into that phase of life. She could open every door for you. Like he looked so comfortable with the attention, getting the kisses. He looked like Cash Doll's guy. And I was looking at it like, oh, that guy's not ready for football. But then right away, he does an interview. He's like, I want to come back to Detroit. And I loved hearing that. But I was like, man, that would indicate to me. And it's speculating, but clearly, I think when Brad Holmes left us, he said that he's been in contact with the agent. It probably indicates there's a deal ready. Like, hey, if you want this deal for this money, whether it be 1 year, 6 million, 2 years, whatever kind of money is out there for him, the Lions have said, this is what it is. Go out there, shop it, do what you got to do. Come back to us when you're ready. And Zadarius, I thought it was also great. You know, a fan walks right up to him, is like, hey, when you coming to Detroit? And it's been great just seeing Detroit represent all over the world at every event. You see Lions jerseys, you see the Old English D everywhere. And he's like, soon. Now, look, I think that was just more for, hey, I want to let this fan be happy. But I do think that the door's open. But again, like we've talked about, Zadarius has options. And for Zadarius, you don't want to take the first offer thrown by the Lions because there could be a bigger offer if a team like the Bills or Packers or Eagles or a team that's championship worthy like the Chiefs, if they suffer an injury in training camp, boom, the offer probably goes up by $1 million. So he's probably waiting for training camp. I don't think it's going to be soon. Why would you come to training camp? I still don't see it. You got boats out there. You can party. You can travel the world. There's more vacations you can take. There's more events that he and Cash Doll can be a part of. I want to see them at Comerica Park cheering on the Detroit Tigers. And I just think that for him, I think there's a home here in Detroit. He fits naturally right in. But I would say this, pump the brakes on what impact he would have. I think he'd be a situational pass rusher. I do think he could get 5 to 8 sacks in spots where he can be a pass rusher in clear downs that favor the defense. But I think the Lions fan base is kind of showing out their desperation, knowing that they're clamoring for a guy that's 32, 33 that did not play all that great against the Commanders. So I love the aspiration of it. But guys, if he does sign, that does not put the Lions over the top in any way, shape, or form.
I'm going to ask you a question, Doc, that goes hand in hand with it that we discussed on the show. Boone ended up switching sides, I'm pretty sure, and it infuriated me. If you had to have one of the two, and this is a hypothetical, would you rather have Alex Anzalone on this team or Zadarius Smith on this team?
It's a great question. No, to me, it's clearly Alex Anzalone. You saw the clear numbers when he was out. That defense was terrible. Every metric that measured defensive productivity suffered when he was gone. They gave up more yards, more points. It was just a deal where you realize, okay, he's a sure tackler, good in coverage, captain of the defense. I do think you can work around pressures. Guys, the Lions got a lot of pressures last year. They just weren't able to finish. If Coach Casey Rogers can unlock them finishing with Aiden Hutchinson, which is going to give this defensive line a boost, it's going to unlock a lot of things for Davenport if he stays healthy, Levi and Josh, and hopefully Tyleek Williams will clog the middle. DJ Reader, it'll unlock the defensive line if everybody stays healthy. So Alex Anzalone, I think, is key. That linebackers unit takes a big hit if he's not there. You guys really think Trevor Nowaski and yes. Waiting for Booner? That's a little bit. Look, good player, but a role player. He's not the caliber of Alex Anzalone is right now, and that's why I think Alex Anzalone is a valuable piece. He's a captain, and he'll be like you guys have probably surmised, he'll be signed. I don't think that there'll be an issue. It's just got to wait to see potentially how much Aiden takes or how much other contracts that need to be addressed to get looked at. But Anzalone, I don't think will be an unhappy member of the Detroit Lions roster.
Yeah, I did put a tweet out today, Doc, because I do believe it that I think, and I know you said you would see Zadarius potentially waiting until after training camp. I believe by day one of training camp, Alex Anzalone has an extension and they got a deal done, and Zadarius Smith has a 1-year deal done. And I think that by day one of training camp, both of those are done and you're ready to go with both of those guys on that defense, which I think makes that defense very good. Can I just ask you this then? Because my question kind of is to follow up that. And it was kind of it was within this argument of Alex Anzalone and Jack Campbell, but I want to take it completely separate. Like, let's take Anzalone out. Do you think Jack Campbell, are you confident that he's kind of ready to take over that role? Because I do believe, and I said it, that I thought last year by most metrics, Jack Campbell was better than Alex Anzalone in most PFF grades. He was top 5 in a lot of grades, 4 linebackers with, that played full seasons. And it feels like it's about time that Jack is like, hey, that he is the lead linebacker now. Are you confident for him to take that role over if needed?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Jack Campbell, potential leader. That's why you drafted him. That's why some people believe that Alex Anzalone is a guy on his way out, because you did invest heavily in a linebacker. But let me gather my thoughts real fast here. Is it out of bounds to say real fast, is Jefe not here? Is it true that he's getting a big heart tattoo on his chest with his lady friend on it? I didn't think the rumors were true that he would go out there and get the tattoo of his significant other's whole face and hearts and everything. But, some ladies want to stamp their guy, and I didn't think Jefe was somebody that would fall to that. But, when you're in love, you do wild stuff. So, Jefe, I hope the rumors that were being texted to me are not true, that you guys were just pulling a rib on me. Don't do that. That's the kiss of death in any relationship, when you start getting those heart tattoos and putting their name all over your chest. You know what I mean?
He does actually have. He has a rash. It's a rash as well.
He's got the rash. Oh, yeah. Man,
he got a tattoo he got a Dan Campbell tattoo, little on the back of lower back.
Yeah, let Jefe know that don't get the tattoo. It's not recommended by the DOC. In regards to Jack Campbell, I look at it and what's that?
Is that from experience with the tattoos?
I have a tattoo, but I love mine. I love mine. It's a country on my left arm, got my initials, and got the home country maybe next week or by the end of you know what? I'll do it. By the end of summer, I'll come on the show in a tank top and rock the guns out.
Oh, we need that, Doc.
With the suns out, guns out, with the tan. I'll have the perfect tan. And
we might need that for training camp, Doc.
You know what? Maybe if the ratings go high, if you get 200-300 likes, I'll show up and do this in a wife beater, and we'll have a fun time with it, and we'll get real wild here on the stream. But with Jack Campbell, I love it. I love what he can do, dude. He's ferocious, man. The guy. What I love about him is you can talk to him man to man, direct. You can ask him tough questions. He knows how to deflect. I just always felt like he was like Chris Spielman, like he's our generation's Chris Spielman, like man of the people, super friendly, easy to talk to. Gives me the time of day whenever I ask him. I just feel like he's super professional. Like he's all business. Like I'm here to kick ass, take names, and go home and be about the hunting life and hanging out with family, which you got to respect as a linebacker. I think Jack Campbell, when the time comes and he's given more and more responsibility, he'll live up to the task and he'll be great. I do think he's getting better in coverage, getting better at recognizing the 2x2s, 3x3s, understanding the recognition to what he's got to look at from the offense. I think the game is slowing down for him. Now the question mark can be when everything's thrown at you and you're the defensive captain, what does it look like? And, for everybody, it's different, especially nowadays. The offenses are getting even more elaborate and more confusing for linebackers. And I just think it's just a nasty job when you're assigned to guard or when it's your job to be assigned to a running back or a tight end, because that's the first matchup quarterbacks look to is, hey, if there's a tight end on a linebacker, it's just going to be tough. But I can't wait to see him develop. I do think he finished the PFF top 10 linebacker last year. I expect him to take big strides. It's just a great all-around player that you expect to get better every single year. We'll never take it for granted. And he said it. He's like, I want to win a Super Bowl. I want to be direct and get after it and become an integral part. He's going to be a leader. He's going to be great. You can't say enough good things. I do think that when the time comes now, his former position coach is the defensive coordinator. I just can't say enough good things about Jack Campbell. I'm excited to see, hopefully in the next couple of years, him develop into the leader that he's going to be.
Can I just follow it up? I made the statement. I think Jack Campbell will be, I can't remember if I said all pro or Pro Bowl this year. Do you think that's a possibility? All pro. Okay. Is that a possibility, do you think, Doc?
Yeah, you know what? There's always possibilities for Jack Campbell to get some of those awards, but he's low key. You know what I mean? He doesn't here's the thing. To start to get into those conversations, a lot of those times it's voted, right? And so writers, outside of Detroit, look, the writers in Detroit know what he's about, but he's not that like flashy linebacker. Like he's not going to flex on a guy if he nails him. You know what I mean? Maybe he starts to do a little bit of that self-promotion to get his name out there, do some of the bigger interviews. Meaning, pardon my takes, the bigger style of interviews to kind of get his personality out there. If he does that, man, the whole country will start to put him on those lists. But let's see him make plays. Let's see him make some impactful plays, some jarring the ball loose, some fumble recovery, some plays that are also more impactful. Not to say that he didn't, but the more you do it, the more now on the big stage this year with the game that they're playing, if he starts making plays, look out. He'll be on those lists.
Talk to me, Doc.
It's not out of the possibility. Not at all.
A lot of big stages, Doc.
Yeah.
Biggest stage, hopefully the Super Bowl. Got to go to week 1 first against the Green Bay Packers, who just released Jair Alexander. What are your reaction to that? Because you could see that coming. But where do you think that Jair, do you think he lands in the NFC? And what do you think that means if he lands on a team that's a contender? A lot of people are saying the Rams. Some people are saying the Eagles, which drives me crazy, or even the Bears. There's some chance that he lands in the NFC. What do you think it means for the Packers now that he's gone? And what do you think it means if he joins a potential contender?
Yeah, it just seemed like a bad ending, right? You see some of the clips of the way it went down. Look, I do think he's got a swagger about him that maybe would rub some Lions fans the wrong way, thinking he's not a talent. But I do think competition is great. He would provide opportunities for a guy to come in that understood the defensive scheme of the Packers, could give some information to Terry and Arnold and DJ Reed. But
he's going to cost so much, Doc.
Exactly. I think the cost is just going to be north of $14 million. So it makes it tough. Like I said, I'm always of the opinion more. I love the idea in theory, but in practicality, I do think that, a couple places listed Jair as a spot for the Lions, but mostly the favorites are the Dolphins, 49ers, Eagles. You look at it and you say, do the Lions really need another cornerback making north of $11 million when you got DJ Reed making 16? You're going to have to eventually look at Terry and Arnold if he blossoms. You want to get Ennis Rakestraw opportunity. So there is that opportunity that if you get him, it would kind of put a little stamp and an assessment on Ennis Rakestraw. And I do think that they believe that he can grow into that kind of role. So in my humble opinion, I don't think it happens. I would be surprised if the Lions landed Jair Alexander, but if he comes, look, I'm of the opinion the Lions, like, tell me this. If you're a player and you walk into that room, you're not looking at Doc the first thing you walk into the building. You're looking at a 6'7", 300-pound, 275-pound tight end. You think you're going to disrespect the Detroit Lions locker room with Dan Campbell? He'll walk in there and take you out so fast that it's simple. The Lions have when people say, oh, the Lions don't bring in those guys. They brought in Cam Sutton. They brought in CJ Gardner-Johnson to do the swagger thing. They bring in guys that have talent. It's a talent business. And if the Lions feel his talent, which it's somewhat there, but unfortunately, that's why you say, well, maybe the Lions like him, is that maybe his market will end up being down and Brad Holmes will be like, hey, this is the Brad Holmes special. You're not going to get $15 million. You're going to get $6 million, and it's a prove it deal. And you take 1 year, because remember, CJ Gardner-Johnson got that same deal. Many people thought he was going to command a lot of money. He got less than $10 million from the Lions. So the Lions can handle guys in the locker room. You guys don't presume that a guy that talks or has an attitude would come in and destroy the Lions locker room. It wouldn't happen. It'd be cut out so fast, or he would mold into what the Lions are looking for. He's not. You think Kelvin Shepard? Okay, if Dan Campbell doesn't want that job, if the bad cop is Kelvin Shepard, you're going to front on Kelvin Shepard? Please, he'll dress you down so fast that your head will spin and you'll walk with your tail between your legs. So the Lions locker room is great. I do not feel anybody would come in and just tear it up. So spare me that kind of talk when people say, oh, he'd be a locker room cancer. No, he wouldn't. He would come in and compete and make plays, and he would. I think players like that would come in Detroit and shine. That's what you want to be able to say, is that this football team has a great locker room with great coaches that can handle anybody. The problem is within 2 practices, he'll be injured. So you don't want that. But that kind of seems like the players the Lions kind of have been targeting lately, isn't it?
Yeah, honestly, it has. I want to ask you this, Doc, because we had this segment here before you hopped on the show. I don't know if you were watching, but cut candidates going into training camp. I had said Colby Sorsdale, Broderick Martin are ones to keep an eye on. I did say, and to be fair, I did say surprise ones, which maybe they aren't surprised. More so just to you, Doc, what are some cut candidates for people to watch out for? And then on top of that, if there's a surprise one that you think might get cut, who would you say that is?
Yeah, no, it's good because
2-1 there.
Yeah, that's one of the series we're running, and we started it today. Where every year in the summertime, in June, July, it's always good because you think, oh, what are we going to write about? We have so much to write about that I think I'm already behind. I'm like, oh my gosh, podcast series. We're running the series now, Lions on SI, the roster bubble. We started with safeties. We'll take a position by position look at who's on the bubble, and we've already done. You can also check it out, Lions on SI. We did our 53-man roster projection before anybody else, and we think that you look at it and you say, probably Colby Sorsdal is on the watch list. Look, at this point in time, I do think that the 53-man roster, you can kind of surmise who is going to fit in those early top spots on the depth chart. But guys that you got to pay attention to is Craig Reynolds, Sione Vaki. If he takes another role, does he kind of take over the job? You hope that he can compete for more opportunities that might make Craig Reynolds expendable. You look at the tight ends, maybe a Brock Wright is a guy that you pay attention to. I know he's a great blocker, but if you got competition there and you have opportunities to be affordable, you have opportunities to look at Zylstra or others that they bring in, there's competition there. You look at it and you say, I don't think it's a surprise. Broderick Martin is somebody on the chopping block. He's got to step it up. He's got to showcase, hey, he wasn't there we saw him in person, but he didn't do any team workouts. So you look at it and you say, all right, there's certain spots that you look at and you want to see some competition along the offensive line. Is it Coyote Awosika? Is his job in jeopardy with Miles Frazier in the loop? I do think too, and many beat writers are alluding to it, this might be a year a draft pick doesn't make the team. Typically they do, but maybe Dominic Lovett might be a surprise. Maybe he doesn't make the team. Dan Jackson, I think, is pretty much okay to make the team because of his special teams value. But if he doesn't have a great camp, there's no guaranteed job. There's one spot available. And Avonte Maddox looks like the real deal from what we saw in terms of his leadership and his presence out there. So there's one spot. If one of those safeties, if a Kennelly gets in there and handles business, that might make your draft pick a spot where, hey, Dan Jackson might be in jeopardy. So this is all about competition, and the Lions are not afraid to, hey, if a guy from the undrafted list starts to play well and makes plays in the preseason, they're not hesitant to make some noise. And this might be the year where a 6th or 7th round draft pick doesn't make the team.
And as the days go on, Doc, you brought up Vaki. Do you think that if he doesn't make a contribution this year, that we can start to view that as not a bust, but more as just like a wasted pick? Because I do think that he's a good player, but he's never just going to be able to get his spot because they're not going to put him at safety, it looks like. And you're never playing over Jahmyr Gibbs or David Montgomery. And I think that they would go in the draft and get somebody or in free agency if David Montgomery were to leave anytime soon, which I don't see happening. They just re-signed him.
Right. No, it's a good look at, NFL not for long. We do want players that contribute. I do think Vaki is a player that's going to take strides forward. Remember too, guys, that in the NFL, that first year, the way that people describe it and the way I've heard it described is like drinking from a fire hose. They don't sit around and go, here's step 1 of the offense. Here's chapter 2 of the offense. They don't do that. It's here's our offense. See you later. Go learn it. And you got to know it all by the time training camp starts. So it's like a fast moving train. And each day you make mistakes, they expect it. It's when you learn it. And Ben Johnson's offense was not simple. It has a lot of formations, variations, checks based on defensive looks and opportunities. So a rookie is not going to come in right away and just understand all of that, especially with the responsibilities that this coaching staff has on blocking. Like you got to bulk up. You need to have that natural ability to recognize what's coming at you. So for Vaki, this is the year. And it's so true. Players make their biggest leap in year 2. So if he's got a chance to be impactful and make his biggest strides forward, it'll be this year. I can't wait to see it. I do think that he'll make some plays in the preseason. I think you'll start to see his physicality as a running back. I love what you guys say in the chats and the comments too. A lot of you guys want to see Vaki at safety. I know he's athletic and I know the depth is there, but the competition is pretty strong there. I think the uphill climb for him to be a defender at this point in time, having not done it, is, I think, too steep. He's a running back and he's got a chance to compete, and he's somebody that's shifty. You saw it last year. You saw some of the pieces there. And guess what? Working with Tashard Choice, he will get the best out of Vaki. If he doesn't show it, he'll be gone.
Hey, Doc, I kind of want to get your thoughts after the last OTAs because I think we talked to you Wednesday, and I believe you were in Allen Park Thursday, and I know they didn't show much when it comes in regards to the depth because of players that were in and out and not practicing. But this whole line situation, I did see your guys' article. Again, I read your articles every day, Doc. I want it on record. And I read the one that Christian did. It was kind of the offensive depth chart. And we broke it down on the show, actually. The one thing that I was kind of shocked was how low Tate was on that depth chart for you guys. Is there a reason behind that Christian did that, or you guys kind of look at it in that sense? Or do you think that Tate, because it felt like the comments from Dan last week made it feel like a little bit more that Tate is going to be kind of that 1A at that spot if they feel comfortable, and Graham's going to be the guard, because he made the comment about if Graham is next to him, and that, to me, that set off an alarm. Did you have that same thought process, or was that just kind of something that we kind of took away from it?
Yeah, no, it's interesting, right? Thank you. Yes, guys, I can confirm. Sources tell me Booner can read. He has a college graduate reading level.
Do you have a degree?
He has a degree. He can read. The issue is he gets so distracted by things he's not supposed to read online that he's got to clear his cache every 25 minutes. Yeah. So the employers and everybody doesn't see the stuff that he's looking at.
I don't think people know that I have a degree, actually. That might be breaking news on our show. I do have a college degree. Yes, I'm the only one in our company that has a college degree, and it's a business degree.
A business degree? What was your GPA, Boone?
It was actually pretty good. The beginning was rough, and high school was not good, and so the beginning of college was rough. By the time I got done, my last couple of years, I was probably above a 3-point. I made the dean's list a few times towards the end. Come on. Listen, I'm a scholar here, man. I like to learn, business, account, everything, man. There's a lot to it. And I did a lot of sports stuff, too. I did a minor in coaching, and there's a lot of different things.
Wow, good. No, listen.
5 years of school over here.
Shout out to education. Now, Boone, let's I think the statute of limitations has passed. You can freely admit, did you use any of those services to pay for your grades? Did you pay for any of the very, very super bright people that you can find online to write your papers or sit in?
That might have been before Boone's time, to be honest, Doc.
I have
they're
no
always
comment. There. No comment.
Oh, okay. Now
I read a lot and I studied a lot. I was in the library a lot. I'll say that.
Okay, good. Now, and you can be honest too. Would you have been tempted with ChatGPT and AI? Would you have used it to kind of maybe start a paper that way?
For sure, man. 100%.
Exactly. Be honest. That's right.
There was no ChatGPT or AI or nothing when I was in there. It was just
I didn't say there was.
Study.
No, I didn't say there was, but the interesting
for sure would have used it.
The interesting aspect now with AI and how people can use it, it's crazy what's about to happen with everything going on. It's just wild what's going on. And I'm glad you read it. And I'm glad you read the depth chart. We also did a defensive one too. We did the 53-man roster, the depth chart from what we saw. And here's the thing. And I also too, which is interesting. Listen, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I actually do like reporting, going out to the city. I went downtown yesterday and got a chance to talk to TJ Lang. He's part of the big three. And it was great to talk to him. Like, he knew who I was. And I was like, hey, I got to talk to you. You know what I'm going to talk to you about. And he answered the questions. Honestly, you can hear the exact interview on Lions on SI. I posted it today, what he's told me about the big three. And I asked him about Frank Ragnow. And he said, look, and I think the current thinking is you need to run a proficient training camp. You got to get in there and handle it. And I think early on, coaches probably are going to be more comfortable with Graham Glasgow. He's a veteran. He's done it before. He's seen so many different things. Look, Tate Ratledge is a great rookie. I think he has a chance to be the starting right guard, but there's a lot thrown at you. And I do think that there's opportunities for others as well to compete that have a little bit more experience. It's a tough situation. Something that TJ Lang told me that I did not think about is, which also favors Tate Ratledge, is that the center does not have to make all the calls. Lang told me, he said, listen, you can kind of spread that out among the guards, or he said Penei Sewell can make some calls. So he feels like the decision's got to be made early in camp, first week. And he thinks that maybe the short-term solution is at short-term for Graham Glasgow being center. But you look at it as well, Tate Ratledge is a young player. It's a difficult situation with these super talented defensive linemen that you're going to face all across the league, and you got to compete with Miles Frazier. There's no guaranteed job. So if Tate Ratledge is going to earn the job, he's got to do it right away in camp. And it's just at center is going to be tough. Probably more likely at right guard, has a chance to be a starter and contribute. That's his natural position. But at the same token, entering into a training camp, I think Christian likes to kind of put people a little bit lower down and have other competition as well, because more veterans are out there with Awil Sika, Dan Skipper out there as well that got a little bit more experience. But listen, within 2-3 practices, Tate Ratledge, this period of time is still learning for him. He can get out there, and just because we put that now doesn't mean that he won't quickly have a chance. He could even be the starting center. It's not out of the realm of possibility, but coaches are comfortable putting guys in that they trust. So to me, I always looked at it like, I think my early starting offensive line would be Taylor Decker, Christian Mahogany, the left guard, Graham Glasgow, the center, Tate Ratledge, the right guard, and Penei Sewell. I mean, Ratledge and Penei Sewell, could you imagine that right away? It's going to be hard pressed to get to Jared Goff from the right side.
Did you see we posted today, and actually Tate actually retweeted it. Did you see Tate Ratledge's highlight in high school? He was a punter.
Exactly. I did.
He was out there punting.
From the great social media account of Crunch Time Sports. I absolutely saw that. I think it's great. Listen, these guys are athletic. I mean, to play offensive line, you got to be smart. You got to be athletic. You got to be able to do a lot of different things. That was quite the visual. Maybe on the side after the first couple of days of camp, I'm going to walk up to him and look way up and be like, hey, you going to throw some punts out there for us?
We need to see him back, Jack Box up.
I might have to find some way to reference the fact that he wears number 69 in a creative way that you guys wouldn't think is what I'm thinking about.
Hey, Doc, it would be so funny if you guys did a special teams depth chart, and for your backup punter, you put Tate Ratledge in it. That would be elite.
Right. Here's the crazy part. We don't have to do a depth chart. There's only 3 guys on special teams. There's only really the at least in the kicker department. You know what I mean? There's a lot of gunners and all that kind of stuff. But there's just Hogan Hatton.
You should do it, Doc. You should do a full 11-man special teams.
Yeah. Jake Bates and Tate Ralledge. That'd be funny, right?
That'd be awesome.
And Doc, I don't think, because I think it came out after the last time we talked, but Malcolm Rodriguez said he most likely won't be back till November. And we knew he was going to be out for a little while coming after off that knee injury. But what do you think the impact of him not being out there for that length of the season will be once you look at there's going to be injuries to this defense, probably in the linebacker room as well. Malcolm's a guy that you can go out there and you can just depend on, know that he'll make the plays. Given the fact he won't be out there for a good chunk of the season, what do you think that impact will be?
Yeah, not having Malcolm till November.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what Zach Cunningham brings to the table. I do think he's a guy that has a chance to compete and do some things. I think that's probably one of the reasons why you have him. It stinks too, right? That ACL injury, and maybe we'll talk about what happened to Jackson Jobe as well. But man, November, it's a little jarring because you know the timeline, like you know how long an ACL injury takes. It's just into November. It's tough because Rodrigo is kind of like an emotional leader. Like he's a gritty guy, a guy that people can easily gravitate towards. And I think he was ascending. Like he was a guy, the way in which Kelvin Shepherd would talk about him was, and you guys remember a lot of time that he would praise Malcolm and say, hey, this is a rookie. This is a guy that can do some things. And hey, if he makes the plays, he makes the plays. And Kelvin Shepherd said that, I think it was one of my questions or somebody else last year. He indicated that it's just been hard to take Malcolm Rodriguez off the field. He does what is needed. And in the times I've talked to him, I did write about his struggles and working his way up the depth chart. You got to also remember, too, what I like about Malcolm is his role was changed. He was a guy that initially had playing time, and then they took it away, put him more on special teams. But he kept fighting. He didn't complain, put his nose to the grindstone. It is like a little bit of a demotion. It's a public demotion when you're a starting linebacker. You have the capabilities of being a guy to play some defensive snaps, and then your role kind of diminishes as you bring in different talent and you're not playing as much. But I talked to him and he's like, look, I'm just here to help the team win, nose to the grindstone. When it's my turn to get called up, I get the opportunity to make plays. And you like a guy that's a team guy, and he's willing to do special teams to showcase to the coaching staff, hey, I can go out there and make plays, be a guy that will go in and battle and grind and play special teams. But when he had an opportunity, he's like, Kelvin Shepherd openly said to us, he said, that guy deserved to be on the field. He earned his time, and hopefully he comes back healthier. You probably won't get the full range of what he can bring to the table in 2025, but in 2026, hopefully you get a healthy and a guy that can be a sure tackler, an aggressive, physical linebacker that can be another emotional leader as well.
Hey, is there any concern, Doc, with Amon-Ra? I know he had, and no one really knew this until OTAs, and you guys spoke with him last week, but he had a surgery this offseason, and he did say there's no worries. Is that something that usually happens where a player like at that caliber gets a surgery and no one hears about it? That felt kind of odd that it was just like out of nowhere came up. Yeah, hey, I got surgery on my knee this offseason.
Booner, I like that. The second time I heard that today. My co-host on Doc and Jock said the same thing. He's like, you didn't know? I said, look, here's what happens. It's a medical procedure. It's something he wanted to keep under wraps. If you want to keep it under wraps, you go in and you have a cleanup procedure, and you end up talking about it when you got to remember, we have, since the end of the year, there was a draft. I think we've been out there 3 times, and it's only for an hour and a half out there. So, and remember, the biggest factor is all the workouts were voluntary. He's not coming to rookie minicamp. He's not a rookie. And the first OTA, he wasn't there. And then the second one, it was mentioned that he brought it up himself. Am I surprised? No, because of the fact that look at the position that he plays and look at his size and stature. And I don't want to use this word as a derogatory word, but when people say that Amon-Ra is a slot merchant, it doesn't really mean that he can only play the slot. You can put him at XYZ, any position, and he can play it. But the depth of target of each of his catches is around 5 to 6 yards. And so what that means is there's always going to be someone around him, hitting him, tackling him, being around him. And he's not the biggest guy. He's muscular. He's very strong, but he's not the biggest guy compared to these cornerbacks and linebackers that are going to tackle him every single time. And so at the end of the year, a lot of players, Jack had a hip surgery. Let's call it a procedure. He had a procedure. He's ready to go. He'll be ready to go at training camp. And guys, this is a physical sport. And when you're training that hard and you're getting tackled that hard, you're going to have some nicks and bruises. And a lot of players get these cleanup procedures to kind of ensure that the next year they stay healthy. Now, it's a big deal every time you go under and have some minor scopes and stuff like that. But it happens regularly to these players and at his position. But yeah, you got to pay attention to it now this year in terms of how much practice time he gets. Does it wear and tear on his career later on down the road? But he said, I'm ready to go. And he's always been forthright and honest. I'm not surprised. A lot of guys at certain points have the ability to keep things secret that they need to. And I don't think people were digging too much for the health of Amon-Ra St. Brown. They just thought that, he was having a good offseason, but when he didn't show up, then the question marks arise. And so a lot of guys, it's a very common procedure to get scoped on your knees and minor procedures here and there. So I don't have any concern at the present juncture. I think he's great. But yeah, my co-host said the same thing. And it's a great question to ask. When you're paying someone $30 million, hey, he had surgery. Doc will monitor it at training camp and report back.
Thanks, Doc.
And you brought it up, Doc. Jackson Jobe, Tommy John, tough loss. What does this mean, do you think, for the Tigers and just your overall reaction? Break it down. What was your first reaction to hearing that he's going to be out for a long, long time?
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. You look at it and you go, man, I was just at 12:45 p.m. this afternoon. I was having a good time celebrating, and we were debating, me and Adam were debating, are the Tigers or Lions closest to winning a championship? We were talking about adding talent to that roster. Like, you just came off of a Cubs series where you dominated an NL leader. You were playing great. Everything was coming up roses. And unfortunately, Jackson Jobe, it's just a tough position, man. It's that's why drafting young pitchers is always a risk. It's always a risk. Am I even surprised? No. These young arms throwing the way that they do, it's almost a given. It's not even when. It's not even, it's just, when is it going to happen? These guys, it's the natural pitching motion is not that for an arm to be able to do that. And so I'm never terribly surprised anymore when a player needs it. And sometimes, unfortunately, it's just the way it is for these pitchers. It's part of the gig. Casey Mize shows that you can come back. Others have showed it. Michael Fulmer was a guy that went through it as well. And you just have to hope everybody comes back different. But by and large, the guy that you can count on to say, hey, look at the hallmark of what the blessing can be is Tarik Skubal. He had it too. So it's unfortunate. I do think that, and I have a nephew who plays, and whenever he pitches, I'm like, don't you dare in my presence throw a curveball. You throw a curveball, you start torquing your arm like that, I'm going to walk out to the mound and rip you off the mound myself. I don't care if your coach tells you to throw 15 curveballs. You just throw nice, smooth 70-mile-an-hour fastballs and don't pitch. You're a hitter. I don't like that for your arm. I don't like that. I don't like, and something that's been heavily looked at is that young pitchers are asked to do a bunch more, and parents are exposing their kids to travel baseball, and they think that they got to start throwing curveballs. It should be outlawed. It should be, players and their arms should be protected at the highest degree. I think the pitching motion is unnatural. It's being taught wrong. And when it's an epidemic like this, where so many pitchers have to have it, I do think that the way it's being taught is just unfortunate. And it's unfortunate for Jackson Jobe. He's a player that we counted on, young player. But look, here's what you got to hope for on the roster. No pity party. You get well, get healthy, Jackson, and get after it. He'll come back stronger in 2027 and get after it. But you need Reese Olson back, and you need to call.
Big time.
Call around, get some starting pitching out here and add. Our theory was, we all heard the Scott Harris interview. Greenberg also, I think, talked on Sirius XM radio. This team needs to add. Show us that you're as passionate as we are about bringing a championship. Not, I didn't like the talk from Harris of we need to monitor the culture of the locker room. Listen, if they can throw 95 miles an hour and locate their pitches, and they're a guy that's on a last year of a deal or a player that is in a contract situation or is not expecting to be on a good team, you go out there and you get them. You get 2-3 players, and don't be conservative, because guess what? We also had this conversation, and I know people talk about it, and here's my stance, all right? And I'll say it officially, because in the end, it's going to affect me, all right? It's going to affect Booner, Hefe, Lucas, if you want to go down to Comerica Park. If you pay Tarik Skubal $400 million, that means the $80 ticket becomes a $110 ticket. I think you got 2 years under control with Skubal. you go and you push now. And I don't want to pay $400 million because he's going to be 30 years old. And I don't think I'm going to get anywhere near $200 million of value. You could get 2 good years out of him, which is what, 80 million of 400 million? Guys, think about it. 10 years, 400 million. He's asking for the world and he deserves it. Someone might pay it. It's not a referendum on on Chris Ilitch. It's $400 million.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money that is going to be fed to the fans. You want to pay it? I get it. He's a great pitcher. He's a guy that is the ace. He's box office. He guarantees you wins. But if you count on your development of pitchers, you go out there and you keep getting more and more arms and you hope that you land the next Tariq Skubal and you find a way. If it doesn't work out this year, if you push this year, win the World Series, and that would solve a lot of problems. But if you can't make the deal by next year, then at the trade deadline, you find 6-7 players and you hope that he's still a Cy Young candidate and you find hopefully 2 good players out of there that will lead your team for the future. I just think it's a lot of money, $400 million. I just don't see – I see the risk being greater than the reward. He's a great player. Does he deserve it? Yes. Are there super risks that it looks like what happened to Miguel Cabrera in year 6, 7, 8, 9? Yeah. So I look at it definitively. I don't want to end up paying double in terms of ticket prices for this great fan base. Hopefully this is the year that they realize, okay, we got something. There's something special here. Add another bat, a third baseman, a defensive infielder, a rotational guy, maybe 2 pitchers. You just push it. And I like the fact that they said that no player in the minors is untouchable. Go out there and give these next 2 years should be the push years. And hopefully, and remember too, guys, you're not desperate. You have Skubal under control for 2 years. So you don't have to force the deal. And hopefully he's workable. And maybe if he wants to take big dollars, he just is like, okay, no problem. We'll pay you 3 years, 180. Just $400 million is out of the realm of possibility, especially if he wants 6, 7, 8 years for it.
Yeah, Doug. I mean, I kind of disagree. I would pay Skubal. Personally, I would. I do want to throw out there too. I do have another question, but I would throw out there as well for people thinking like long term for the Tommy John situation. A lot like Skubal had it back in 2016. Ohtani's had it twice now. I know he's not pitching right now, but he's going to be pitching, it sounds like, after the All-Star break. So guys get it, come back. Obviously, it could affect some guys, doesn't for some. So I do think I'm a little confident in Jackson Jobe coming back, not this year, but in the future and helping this team out. I'm sorry, Doug. I want to just go back to Lions real quick because I had one last question for you, if that's okay. Is that good?
Anytime you want. I got nothing I block out the time for you guys. We can talk about anything.
All right. So we had an argument this week in a conversation. It was who was under the most pressure, and you might have had this conversation at some point this week. It's been going around Twitter. For the Detroit Lions, though, who do you think going into this season in 2025 is under the most pressure? Coaches, players, whoever it is. Who would you put in that category at the top of that list?
Yeah, it's a tie, probably, in my opinion. It's 2 guys. It's I think the most pressure is on John Morton. Many people think that this is Ben Johnson's creation. Many people think that John Morton is a guy that was just the guy that got fired from the Jets. He's the guy that's been given the keys to the Ferrari, and he's got all the tools. So he's got to showcase. He's got to develop Jameson Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta. So the pressure's on him because if there's a dip in production, all eyes are going to be on him. But there's also pressure on Jared Goff. He's going to be given more responsibility. The lasting memory that fans have that watch football, is there any more Jared Goff chance? I think that kind of eroded pretty fast. You look at it and you say, this guy's going to be given more responsibility for this offense. And now too, you have to look at it personally. He's now going to have a family, so he's going to have some outside responsibilities as well. I don't think that's going to impact him as a football player, but when you have a family, your priorities change. It just naturally does. Before, he could be all in football. Now he's going to have a thought about his young little one at home and his family. It's just naturally going to change who you are. But Jared Goff has a big year ahead because he kind of let the cat out of the bag. He has the potential to have really bad football games. And it's predicated on the fact that he's not the most mobile quarterback. Yeah, he can handle it. He has great numbers against blitzes, but his quarterback rating tends to dip, and his depth of passes gets impacted when there's pressure, as would any quarterback. And now you have an influx of the offensive line. You can think that they're going to gel. You can hope, and the odds are that they will. But if it doesn't, then that is a potential at any time that Jared Goff could go off and go off the mark. Remember, when he went south with the Rams, it happened fast, and you saw it with the turnovers. So the first sign is interceptions and fumbles and, getting loose with the football. If that starts to uptick, that's going to be a big problem for this football team because the margin for error is going to be so much less playing against good opponents. And so I'll ask you guys this, because we did write about it as well.
All right.
You can get right now, you can get plus 200,
No,
100 to win 3 to bet right now today that the Lions won't make the playoffs. Would you take it? Would you do it?
No, we talked about this actually. I pulled your article up today at 8:15. I said you might as well at that point. You have better value at getting the Lions to win the NFC North at plus 120 because that there's a better chance of that happening than them not making the playoffs. I don't see a world they don't make the playoffs, even if they struggle. Dan Campbell almost took that year 2 team to the playoffs. They were, they beat the Packers and they needed the Seahawks to lose. And that was a team that wasn't even close to as built as it is today. It's a night and day difference. To me, this team's 100 times better. The playoffs is no question.
It's not even close.
That guy was a bum. Whoever, I don't know that guy is the NBC Sports guy. He's a bum. Derek, was it? Drew. Yeah, he's on my list with Pete or not. Pete Prisco. It's Pete Prisco and Drew.
Okay, it's interesting because the bettors are talking. They viewed that as the bet of the week. I agree. I think
we let the national media being against the Lions, Doc. The Lions perform best when the national media is against them.
Sure. No, I love it. I think that's also a great motivation too. That people think that this was all a Ben Johnson creation, but it's very interesting that he said that. It's too because it is the narrative of Ben left and they got new coaches and stuff like that. But they discount I never was a guy that valued the coaches as much as the talent on the roster. You recognize that, hey, if you got good talent, you can work a lot of good schemes out of it. And I feel like Dan Campbell has his fingers on the pulse of what he needs. He wouldn't hire the coach. I like this coaching staff quite a bit to get a lot out of it. So I'm very curious to see how the team starts out the first half of the season, and we'll see. But I wouldn't make that bet. I would not at all. But it was very interesting to see the guy speak into the microphone and speak his piece. It was very interesting to talk about.
And Doc, I'm kind of going all around with you now as far as we just went Lions to Tigers. I'm going to ask you Pistons because a huge story about Stephen A. Smith putting the Pistons in his top 5 for potential landing spots for Kevin Durant. And I'm very interested to hear your reaction on what you think the Pistons should do when it comes to regards of KD, Kevin Durant, Doc.
That's great. That's as fun, as relatable as people throwing out Shedeur Sanders being traded to the Lions as a rookie who just got drafted. That was funny how that made its way around. The person that you didn't see it. Yeah, type in Shedeur Sanders Lions. It made its way around the production loop there of the internet. It was effing hilarious. But no chance. It's the cost that you see out there to trade 3 players, maybe even Tobias Harris, Holland, and Jaden Ivey, and a first-round pick. I listen. The guy's 36 years old, great player, 27 points a game, solid rebounder. But look, it's just he's old. He plays 60 games a year, if that. I think that you can seek reasonable expectation of the growth of Jaden Ivey, and I want to keep Isaiah Stewart. I want to keep the core. And look at me, NBA guy. It's a funny video because there is a 6'7" basketball player in Joe Johnson, now part of the Big Three, looking down on a 5'3", 5'4" Doc as I'm asking him, hey, how do the Pistons take the next step? And he's like, I love the Pistons. And so it's a funny angle of seeing me trying to shoot a guy that's 1.3 inches taller than me. But I love what he said. He's like, look, you just add 1 or 2 more veterans that can shoot the stretch 4, like everybody says, add some talent, and this basketball team, I think, can take the next step forward. The Pistons is going to be a slow build. I do think that they probably get back to the postseason, maybe another first-round loss, maybe one more round up. But you got work to do when you got Tyrese Halliburton there, who you could have had on this Detroit Pistons. You could have had Tyrese Halliburton. I was one of the people that early said, oh, man, Killian Hayes. Like I said, it sucked because I was out on Troy Weaver within the first draft. I was like, Killian Hayes? Oh, no, this don't look exactly right. And I think a lot of people said, oh, you're going to regret not drafting Tyrese Halliburton. So I look at it like the Pistons led by Cade Cunningham are in a great spot. You got to love Trajan Langdon. He's got that dog in him. You can tell. Look, simple. Oh, you can see it. Oh, my goodness. We need some shooters. Let's go out and get some shooters. And I'll just say this. Malik Beasley is having the time of his life. Let's hope that he's not too distracted from his offseason adventures this year heading into the season, because he's having himself quite the time in the Caribbean. Quite the time.
As long as he keeps making threes, Doc, I don't give a damn. Do whatever he needs to do.
Doc, is there any like surprise move that you do want them to make? Like something shocking that you would be like if you were the GM, what would be your first move in the offseason, free agency or even trades?
Yeah, no. Listen, I hope there's not too many fans of this guy, but I'm ruthless. I'm more of the based on history. Tobias Harris, great in the regular season, not great in the postseason. I don't know what it is about the bright lights that he shrinks. Like, it was pretty straightforward. The key decisions to me are how much you're going to pay Beasley and Tobias Harris. I look at it and I say, look, great. I understand the leadership that they provide, but everybody said, all right, or at least I said, which I think I reposted. I said it here. I think that the key to that series was going to be how Beasley and Tobias Harris played. They came up short. Now, at times, Beasley was the three-point guy, but those two guys didn't kind of shoulder the load the way in which you would have expected it. If you decide not to pay Beasley and you make a move to maybe see something about Tobias Harris, I wouldn't be surprised. But I think the move to pay attention to is Beasley. What do you get out of him? And I do think that I can't wait to see Jaden Ivey come back. I think he definitely was hurt by not being part of the revolution there, the ascension of the Detroit Pistons. I think he's hungry. I do think that they can play together. I think the Pistons with Ivey rejuvenated, back healthy, with that core, with Isaiah Stewart, the emotional leader, man, I just hope that the surrounding pieces step it up when they need to, because Cade can do it, but he can't be the lone soldier out there doing the job. He needs help. And unfortunately, he went to the battle with the guys with him that didn't deliver.
And real quick, Doc, just kind of staying on this as far as like the Pistons being contenders, who do you think we see Jason Tatum with the torn Achilles? The East is really wide open next year. Who do you think is kind of in that mix to run the East? Like, I think it's pretty wide open. It wouldn't shock me at all if I saw the Pistons in the conference finals.
Yeah, no, I like, listen, very interesting when you're the Knicks and you got a dog in Jalen Brunson and you got Karl Anthony Towns and you're making moves and your coach, is a guy that's known to be tough. And what do the Knicks kind of organization want? They wanted toughness. They wanted accountability. Well, Tibbs brought that, but it wasn't good enough. So it's weird to think that he was the transitional coach to help the team get to the next level. I like the Knicks. I think that you got Brunson. That guy's crazy. That guy is somebody that can single-handedly, if he gets hot, carry a team. I think they're hungry. They might make the right moves. That coaching. Now, hearing the first report of Jason Kidd is gross. I'm like, ew, that's not the guy. That's not the guy to tell me that he's going to take the next step forward with the Knicks. I think, if there ever was a Larry Brown for a team, it would be for the Knicks. They need that next guy to kind of bring everybody together and have everybody working on the same page. I like the Knicks. I like the Cavaliers. I like what the Pistons are able to do. No way. I would not be surprised in any capacity if the Pistons get hot. Remember this, Cade Cunningham should get better. He should feel the sting of a couple opportunities to win some games and him not coming through, but it's all part of the growing experience. I do think that he is one of those gamer types that will be in the gym 1,000 shots a day. And when the time comes, he'll end up making some of those shots. Didn't happen the first go around, but boy, was that a competitive series. And I think you learn a lot when you battle the Knicks and you face adversity, you face a lot of challenges, and you can grow. So yeah, Pistons are on the rise. They're in the conversation, and boy, was LCA worthy of the Pistons, man. They were rocking. It was Detroit basketball. But I'll say this, don't let this get out. But in my opinion, look, first year, I'm superstitious. Keep the foreign guy out. Like, keep the content creator. Let him stay overseas and stop coming over here and glomming on to. Listen, stay overseas and do your thing. It's good, but I think that he can grow as a content creator and a little bit more growth from him as well. But stay overseas. I think that he brought bad juju to LCA.
Hey, I'm a Jack fan, so I'm not commenting.
I am too. Listen, I love that.
Fan.
I love that, but
I am too.
I'm superstitious. They didn't win with him coming over doing his thing. So stay overseas and cheer from abroad. Cheer from abroad until we win.
Oh man, Doc, come on now. I will say this one thing that I said, and you did say LCA was rocking. I wasn't in the building. I don't know if you were, but I respectfully disagree. When I see what OKC is doing and what Indiana and some of these other arenas are doing during their playoff games, I remember we were doing our watch party, Doc, and that final game where it was like win or go home, and
people sit
80% of the game, everyone's sitting down. There's no color coordination like and I know it's like that's dumb, but like the Thunder, one of the hardest places to play and to win. You look at the Nuggets, that fan base is crazy. You look at some of these West teams,
Boston.
dude, their arenas are the fans are standing up in big moments. They're all up. You have half of the crowd sitting down in LCA. Now maybe it was loud for what it usually is, but to me it was like, hey, there's some teams out there that have a completely different level of home court advantage. I think, and I said it on air when we did our stream, I think Pistons fans in that arena could have done a lot better. And hopefully that was just the first. Hopefully that was just like the first, like, hey, dip our toes in it a little bit. Now next year we get there. Now, everyone's wearing their T-shirts. Everyone's standing up every possession. OKC, they're cheering. They're doing chants every time they have the ball, and they're doing chants on defense. 80% of the game, people are just sitting down, not doing anything. So I think there needs to be something there to get some sort of home court advantage. Because what did they win a playoff game at home this year? Nope.
See, so that's the thing. It's like the Knicks were super competitive, and the FU Bronson chants were loud, boisterous, but yeah, he kept shutting them up. So winning is one of those deals where that's going to really factor into it. It was a competitive series. So look, I'll say this. Winning is always key. Having, box office players that electrify. I thought that when Beasley would hit the threes, I thought that when Cade Cunningham got hot, that the crowd was into it. I think that, maybe the television
there were moments.
Yeah, maybe the presentation showcased certain spots, but I didn't go to any games in the playoffs. The ticket prices would have outmatched what I'd be willing to pay when I got a nice comfy setup at home. But listen, LCA is on the rise. So don't discredit what Detroit fans will do. I thought they showed out, and I just think that they needed to have opportunities to win to kind of get fully into it. And it was a tight series, and Brunson just kept shutting up the Pistons, man. It was tough.
That's fair. Klotz, did you have anything else? I got a question here. And if people have mailbag questions or just questions for the doc, we have a couple more minutes with him. Just drop them in there. I did have this one. I know you already kind of stated it, but I think Ben Blue wanted to get a clarification. Jared Goff, Dan Campbell, or Brad Holmes, who is under the more pressure within the next 2 to 3 years, not just this year, but over the next few years. I'll say this, Doc, for the under the pressure thing, I had mine 1 and 2, and I had them interchangeable. I had Jared Goff and Dan Campbell. I thought Dan Campbell was up there. A lot of people, or at least Jeff, disagreed with me in a big way because he felt like, and some people felt like it might mean he's on the hot seat, which I don't think it is. I think it's just as a head coach, there's a little bit of pressure, especially until you win a Super Bowl with a contending team. But who do you think out of these three?
Yeah, no, I think Dan Campbell's pretty safe. He resurrected a team. I think he's the perfect leader for that squad. I do think that a lot of the fan base will have a hard time calling for his head, even if they get to the playoffs quite a bit. But it's going to depend on his coaching in game in the postseason. I do think that it's been okay. Maybe those aggressive calls, if they continue to end up not going that way, if you see another Jamo pass, you're like, what the heck's going on here with some of these calls? Because, Dan Campbell let that through when it was called only down 10 when you still were in the game. But I think the most pressure is on Jared Goff, man, making all that money. You're the emotional leader. You got to take the strides forward. And now they're giving you more of a say in the offense. So it's Jared Goff, the most pressure.
What about this? Detroit fan man said, anyone chatting about this immediate Jamo extension rumor? Yeah, I don't understand why Jamo wouldn't want to play the year out. What are your thoughts on that, Doc? Has there been any conversations about a Jamo extension? I know they opted in, but has there been anything else?
Yeah, fan man, tell us where you saw it. I'll look into it. I have not seen that across the people that I read, but it's the off season, so there's a lot less time that I'm spending reading than before. I have not come across anything that would indicate an extension's coming due, especially with Aiden. I mean, Aiden's going to command $35-40 million. So I think I again have said it multiple times. I think Jamo is going to get the T. Higgins treatment. You play him this year, next year's the 5th-year option. You franchise him one more year and you let him go.
I think that's all of them for now. Doug, I want to ask you something, and this is just kind of just a fun thing here. The Rocket Mortgage or just the Rocket Classic now, because it is a Rocket company. You pumped up about that? What do you feel about the field so far? They announced some of the names. I guess this is really not for all the people, just me and you, Doc, because we're probably both going to be there covering it. Are you? It feels like maybe it's just me. Is there, at least as of now, not as many big names? Like I haven't seen Tony Finau say he's going. No Colin, or wait, Colin Morikawa will be there. Wait, I don't know. I didn't see if they announced Colin.
Mm-hmm. No, Morikawa's here. Thank you for sharing where it came from. Yeah, I'll check it out with Jamo. That'd be great if that's on the horizon. Look, that's
Matt Fitzpatrick.
I would be a little bit surprised. Like I said, I think you lock him up. Maybe he's willing to take. I agree with what Ben said. Like, hey, you play good. You bet on yourself. But we'll see how it plays out moving forward. The Rocket Mortgage, Rocket Classic, Colin Morikawa. You now get a couple hometown guys. The state guy from Michigan State is going to play. Look, the fields are always tough because of the place where they play it. It's always kind of in a disadvantageous position in regards to after a major and a couple weeks before the Open. But look, the fields, listen, no better person than myself and Booner. We've been out there. The excitement and the competitiveness. I saw a golfer make $1 million putt in Ricky Fowler. Cam Davis doing his thing. I've seen competitive rounds there in the final rounds. I've walked the final group the last 5 years. The competition, because it's a scoring tournament, you're going to see scoring in the 20s. It's birdie fest. It's just great to see because all these golfers know that they got to, approach. They got to be in the fairway. They got to make these, it's very generous. It's a scoring course. I think it's a very valuable entertainment to go out there, sit, have fun. Sure. It's very entertaining. And I think it also, it supports Detroit. They've been gracious to invite me out there. Let me play the course multiple times. Let me be part as the media to go cover the event. Let me meet and talk to golfers, I met Sir Nick Faldo, and a quick funny story. He's walking out at the very first time I was there. He's walking out of the restroom, and I was like, "Whoa, this is Sir Nick Faldo, the guy that was able to I watched as a kid beat up on Greg Norman, who was choking." So I reached my hand out. He's like, "Mate, I just got out of the restroom. Why do you want to shake my hand?" And I was like, "Okay, sorry." I was just like in la la land. But I said, "Hey, sir," because I talked to his wife. I said, "Hey, sir, can I just get a couple? Can I get a couple questions in about the tournament?" And he just called the tournament and he gave me 2 minutes. It's on our Twitter page at Detroit Podcast. It was amazing. He had the aura and he talked to me about the tournament. And if you're a fan of golf, go down to Detroit Golf Club, have a good time with your friends. And I think the field's always competitive. They got more top 50 players this year. And Colin Morikawa, Ricky Fowler is always great. Tony Finau, I believe, is also in the field this year. So
it's Tony. I was waiting for them to announce that, and I haven't seen it.
I do believe he's in the field, and I just am. It's a great opportunity to see a lot of golfers too. Just to watch it from that perspective, you get great vantage points at a lot of different holes to see golfers do their thing. So if you're a fan of golf, go out there. If you're not, it's a fun time. If the weather's nice, get out there. You have a free reign to have a good time and check out the experience. I've loved it. I've written about it. The Lions always are part of the Pro-Ams and the 313 Challenge event that they have, the special event. Tom Izzo's always there. I've taken up close photos and done a great thing. So I've loved every minute of it. And they've been so gracious to let YouTubers, content creators, fans, supporters, media into that facility and to do their thing. And it's an amazing. I just can't speak enough about it. And it'll be competitive. I think the final group is always fun to watch and to see coming down that, hey, you have an opportunity to win a PGA tournament, and it gets you prestige. It gets you into the Masters. It gets you into some exemptions. So it's a big deal. And but I did see the report from check it out, Detroit News. After next year, Rocket's going to have a decision because Rocket's not exactly thrilled with the PGA because of the placement. They can't become they're not a signature event. So a lot of the Scotty Schefflers, the Jordan Spieths, the big time top 15 players skip it. So the Rocket Mortgage is like, hey, like rotate the signature event so we can get some of the biggest guys in the world to come here. But unfortunately, the PGA is like, no. So we'll see if it's going to be around beyond 25 and 26. But I'm going to enjoy it to the fullest. It's been fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm pumped up for it. We obviously last year I was there with they gave us credentials here at Crunch Time, and I walked the course with you a couple days, Doc.
Yeah,
it's an unbelievable. And people are watching. I think it's the final week of June here. It's in 2 weeks coming up.
Yep.
And if you have just go get some tickets, go out there. It's a good day out there in Detroit. And again, I know the biggest golfers like Scotty Scheffler might not be there, but there are some big time dudes.
Big time hitters, yeah.
And
it's
actually really fun to watch.
It's amazing to watch the best in the world do their thing, chipping and putting, reading the greens and scoring. It's just top of the line. You're just like, wow. It's an amazing.
Whether you watch golf or not, it's an entertaining thing. It's something to like in Detroit to say, hey, I got to go out and check this out. I am interested, Doc. If I was thinking about it, like after this weekend with the major, I'm interested to see if there's any like bigger players who maybe are struggling. Or whatnot that are like, hey, I want to get out on a night. I'm not saying it's an easier course on the tour, and I think it makes it a lot funner because the scores, like you said, are lower. I like guys like Rory who has been struggling. I wonder if a guy like him, or even like say Scotty who missed the start of the year, who I was talking with someone about this, who might want to make up, to get a couple extra wins and trophies this year. And it's kind of for a guy like Scotty, he can go out there and dominate this course and win. And it's like, hey, just add another trophy under his belt. I wonder if some guys after this weekend's major are going to be like, you know what, let's go. I don't know if there's a deadline for them though to play in that. I'm not sure about that. Maybe you do.
No, it's coming up. It's coming up soon. Whether it be just the week before, the deadline's coming up to register. They're still announcing the players that are in the field, so we'll get some information. But I'll say this: if Scotty Scheffler's in the field, there's a great chance he breaks the record for the scoring. They'll get to 32 under pretty fast.
The way he hits, it would be over.
It'd be over. It's nice, but also too, watching Kim, watching Joel Damon maneuver that course when they struggle. It's just been so great. There's so many great vantage points, especially on the back nine. You can watch great golf from great vantage points, and just to see how they maneuver shots, and you could see them miss shots. Like the opening hole, if you're left or right, if you hook the ball and you struggle to get back on, it's challenging. So it's always great when you have a course that you just got to be in the fairway. And if you're driving it all over, it's great too, because there will be some shots that they miss to the right, and you can be on hole 6, 7, or 8, and you can see on a big par 5, you can see the guy like right in front of me, like from here to this microphone. You can watch a guy. I got videos of golfers hitting the ball out of the rough and getting after it. So you get great vantage points, and it's not that terribly unaffordable. So I can't speak enough good things. And it also helps Detroit. It's marquee, so support the cause and have a good time with your friends. Get out there and cheer and celebrate and enjoy the weekend.
Hey, Doc, I appreciate you. I'm pumped up for a couple of weeks. We have that coming up. Yeah. So we appreciate you hopping on.
I'll ask you guys this before I get out of here. If you guys had a chance to golf with, if they said Lukas and Booner, you're in the Pro-Am, who you want to golf with? Who do you want to be in a group with? You want to get out there with Tom Izzo, Sharon Moore? You want to get out there with one of the pro golfers? Would you be comfortable in a Pro-Am? Booner, Lukas, and Colin Morikawa. Now that would be something, right?
I don't know if Klotz would. I've never seen Klotz swing. I would be comfortable.
I've never taken a serious golf swing in my life.
Got it.
For like an outcome where it's like, hey, you could get. I don't even know how to finish this sentence on what the correct terminology would be here. Yeah. I know nothing and have never competitively golfed.
If I had to make it realistic, Doc, of people who could possibly be there in the Pro-Am, I don't know if I haven't got an email on a list, or I don't know if you have, of who will be there on that Wednesday. I would say my Michigan one, who would be there, Aiden Hutchinson. I don't know if he'll be there, but I would love to play with him. Jared Goff would be a really fun one. And who else? I'm missing someone that I actually
pretty good. Calvin Johnson.
Calvin would be a great one. That'd be all time. Listen,
Calvin, Aiden, Chris Webber, and Booner.
Oh my gosh, that'd be a fun one. That would be something. We don't get to play in it as media though. We just get to watch. I don't know. Do we get to walk with them, Doc? I wasn't at the Pro-Am last year. I came on Thursday instead of Wednesday.
You can go watch it. Yeah, if you got a pass, you can get out there at the Pro-Am.
I know last year though, they didn't give me the inside the ropes. That was an issue.
See,
how do I get that? Can you help me get one of those?
We'll try, man. We'll try everything, man.
I might shoot an email over and see if we can.
Yeah, say I want an opportunity to cover it and get all the great insights to report back to the fans.
Okay, I'm gonna shoot an email tomorrow over to them, to
Let's
our
go.
guy over there. Our guy Greg. He's a good dude.
Good dude, man. Good people, and support local. Thanks, guys. I can't wait for next
Appreciate
Wednesday.
it, Doc.
See you, fellas.
Thank you. Have a good one, Doc.
The man.
What a legend. What an absolute legend. That was actually an hour and a half of just absolute fun for Doc.
Paying rent.
Oh my gosh, the Doc is unbelievable. I guess we have a couple minutes left. I think the chat just looks like they're arguing with each other. I was gonna say drop some mailbag.
AG's Burner, ETN, they all look. I don't know what the hell.
If anyone has mailbag, I want to throw this up just because the guy paid for it, but we don't need to really talk about it. Funny boy, Rhodey said the USA is under attack by protesters, and you're all talking about football. Yeah, I mean we're a sports show. I mean, we're not a political show here.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in this world outside of even that we don't talk about. So drop some mailbag questions. We still have a couple more minutes. If we go a minute or two over. Here's one, Cartier. Will the Jets have a better record than the SOL Mid-Lions? I feel like this is what the argument's about.
Yeah.
We all know that. I mean, if you're actually thinking the Lions are going to have a worse record than the Jets, you do not know football.
Jets will be top 10 again. Jets are on the come up, but it's year one of a rebuild.
Yeah.
Justin Fields at quarterback.
You say top 10? Like they'll be top 10?
Like they'll have a top 10 pick in the draft.
Okay. I was wondering what you meant by that.
No way.
Crazy though. That's a crazy question. I don't even know why that's even a question, to be honest. I do think
just for the troll.
I do think the AG the kind of rebuild and the regime, I think that's going to be good for them, to be honest.
Oh, they're doing it the right way. They're going about it. I mean, New York, I feel like even with Saleh, when they went and got Nathaniel Hackett, they were just prepping for Aaron Rodgers, and then they move off Saleh. I feel like they've just been trying to cut so many corners ever since they lost Rex Ryan, because Rex Ryan, defensive head coach, did things the right way, built up a roster, brought in a rookie quarterback with Mark Sanchez, let him develop. They have to do the same thing again, but they're honestly probably one of the top 3 worst spots to build an organization or develop a career in the NFL. So by getting Aaron Glenn, a guy who rebuilt one of those top 3 spots at some point in time in Detroit, bringing in his guys, revamping that offensive line, like Boone, you were saying with they need to do with Membu. And yeah, they might be up and down this year, and they could have some good moments. Overall, I think it'll be a long season for them. They get a quarterback in next year's draft, they're going to be looking very good defensively. They got a lot of guys, offensive line, just revamped Garrett Wilson, Braylon Allen, who's going to be good for them.
They got a good team, man. That whole team, top to bottom, they do have some players. They have young guys as well. The defense
Mason
is good.
Taylor too, tight end.
Yeah, they have a lot of dudes. I'm interested to see how they do, because that's a tough division. Not a tough, but the Bills are just that good right now. And the Patriots are coming back. Hey, what do you think too? Because I'll say this. I think it was either you or Jeff that had brought up trying to say that Shamar Stewart was bad for doing what he's doing sitting now. I don't know if you've seen the details that have coming out so far. With the Bengals are screwing Shamar Stewart so bad right now.
I didn't really see what
they're putting them. So essentially what's going on is they're trying, how rookie contracts, you essentially, what the price is, it's set in stone. The thing is, there's a couple things that can be like or in the contract, whether it's guaranteed money. And then the bigger thing as well is guaranteed money in void years. So if a player something happens to a player, something, what I mean? They can void all the years and not have to pay, or the money's not guaranteed. They're essentially trying out something new to where instead of having a certain amount of void years, which they've done and teams do with, the specific picks, depending on how it is, they're basically saying we want every year to be a void year. So I believe that's kind of what I took out of it. So where I don't know what the guaranteed money is looking like, but they're like trying essentially a new type of rookie deal with him to where the same money's there, but they're trying this whole new void situation with him to where every year would be voided. So if something does happen to them or to him, they're able to get out of the deal instead of just a couple of years.
Especially it's in your first contract too.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things to where he basically was like, hey, listen, every single rookie before me in this pick, in this number pick, because say maybe they could do it for a later round pick or something, they could get away with that. But he's like, hey, every other 17th overall pick, and even picks that you guys have that are in the 20s, 30s, 40s, the last couple of years, you didn't do this to any of them. And essentially what it sounds like is the Bengals are they tried to slip that into the contract, and Shamar Stewart's agent noticed what it was and was like, wait a second. And it's a younger agent. I was listening to the McAfee show talk, and it's like a younger agent, a newer agent.
They're probably trying to pull a slick one
Yeah.
on it.
And the agent was like, wait a second, this doesn't look right. And the agent went to a couple different other agents in their agency and was like, hey, what is this? And they were like, whoa, no. And the Bengals like aren't budging on it. And Shamar's like, and that's why I think Shamar, I don't know if you saw his interview the other day. He was just, and he was as a rookie, like he did a good job. He was getting big time questions thrown at him, and he was doing a good job just being like, listen, man, like it's literally one thing. Like I want to be on the field, but the Bengals are too worried about this one thing. All they have to do is change it. Something that they've done with every single rookie that they've ever had. They won't do it with me, which to me, I think is fair.
It's just crazy when you look at the fact Trey Hendrickson's holding out as well. So at least get one of those guys in camp because you lost Sam Hubbard as well. Chris Jenkins from Michigan last year was solid for him. They were able to keep BJ Hill, I believe. He might have even left. I can't remember. Lost Jermaine Pratt. They have nobody in that front.
Tough, dude.
Get some life out there.
It's not that bad of a fix. Just be like, all right, dude, if you want these, take these off, we'll do it. But I mean, any rookie deal, if it's like you should just do it the same as every rookie deal. Why try and switch it up? Especially when you're going through that Trey Hendrickson stuff. Like, what are we doing here, man? I kind of feel bad for him a little bit because he probably is a rookie. You want to be out there. Feels like it kind of screwing him.
Yeah, imagine that's your introduction to the NFL franchise that has drafted you.
Oh. You
see what they're doing in the short term, and then if you do have success there long term, look at Trey Hendrickson.
I would not want to play for the.
What happens if he doesn't sign his contract?
Zero clue. I was thinking the same thing. I was wondering, can he like just not play and go to a different I don't know, to be honest.
Imagine just being able to hold out and be like, fine, I'm making up a number. Say if his spot you normally make $5 million. Fuck, I'll go and I'll play for the Philadelphia Eagles for $2 million.
Yeah.
Over this. Yeah, like I don't know.
I don't know how that works. I don't know if he has to sit out. That's something because you do hear a lot of times like those big time quarterbacks are like, if you draft me, I'm sitting out.
Yeah.
So they don't do it. But Clinton says you go back in the draft next year. I don't know if that's true, but I guess maybe it could be if you think about it, because then you're just not playing and then you just
but then you're just sitting at home. That's not
it's a tough. All right, Klotz. Fun show. Jeff will be back tomorrow. Shout out to Doc for joining. That'll be it for today. That was a fun 2 hours. I'm not gonna lie. I had an absolute blast. I don't know about you, Klotzy, but
great show, Boone.
It was a fun show. Shout out to people tuning in. Make sure you guys hit the like button. If you guys, I don't know how many likes we have right now in the stream, but I did hear the Doc say if we hit 100, that he'll show up in a tank top one of these weeks. So everyone, there's 100 people in here.
People in here right now.
Hit
just
like
take
for the boys.
3 seconds out of your night. Hit the like, and then we're done with the show. Go ahead and have a great rest of your night.
And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace. Love you guys.
Peace.